We hope you're pumped and ready for the action that's about to begin here at the Dhono Dhanyo Auditorium in Kolkata. Over the next 3 hours, 9 games of the fastest format in chess. It is Blitz action coming your way. It is the final day at the Tata Steel Chess India, and we're thrilled to be bringing you all the coverage, everything that goes down in the playing arena right outside our studio, and you can see it on your screen. Sahaj, I am so excited for this because it really comes down to how the form that the players will show. And what a fantastic day one of Blitz it was.
Absolutely right. And you know what I'm most excited about is Magnus right now is not outrightly leading. I mean, he is half a point ahead of the rest of the field, but he is not running away with it like he was in the rapid section.
He did run away with everything in the rapid section, but the Blitz tells a whole different story. Also, let's remind everyone, on day one, it felt like he was about to run away with everything. Magnus Carlsen started with 5.5 out of 6 games, and it felt like it's once again going to be a race for second place. And then, that's absolutely shocker of a loss in 20 moves against Arjun.
Yes, with the white pieces. I mean, I think he made some mistake in the opening. Arjun, doing Arjun things, finding some offbeat opening, something strange, and he caught Magnus with it. So that was a very, very good victory by him in 20 moves. Yeah, with the black pieces. That's insane to think of.
It was a complete roller coaster day one, and in case you missed it, one, where were you? You've missed out on a lot, but 2, we've got you covered because it all comes down to this final day. Let's bring up our format as we get everyone on point with how the Tata Steel Chess India Blitz works out. It's 18 rounds. The players have already played 9 rounds. Today, they orbit around each other for the second time. It's a double round robin. They will play with colors reversed today, Sahaj. 3 minutes on the clock every time they make a move. They get a bonus of 2 seconds. Now, if there's a tie, we'll have 1 game of Blitz, and if still tied, I'm hoping it goes down to the wire. We get the Armageddon. But what are you expecting when the colors reverse up, when the colors switch up? Are we going to see different results on the board?
We might, but when it comes to the colors, the match between Arjun and Magnus, because I'm focusing on Arjun today because he's the only one to take him down in the Blitz section, and in the rapid section as well, Arjun played Magnus with the black pieces too. So in this match, in the penultimate round, he will be playing Magnus with the white pieces, and he is very, very close in the standings. So that will be a very, very close match when it comes to the standings.
It's going to be a fun one to watch, and not just Arjun, right? Pragg also starts on the second round with the white pieces. So the colors, it's going to be fun to watch. What preparation are the players able to get their opponent out of theory early on, force them to think early on, but also let's take a look at what they're fighting for. It's of course the glory and the pride of winning the Tata Steel Chess India Blitz here with this incredible field we have, but there's also a lot of money on the line.
True, a lot of money indeed. So if we can have the prizes on the board so we can have a clearer look.
And the first prize for Blitz is a cool $7,500. The second goes back with $4,000, and the third with $2,500. And Sahaj, a lot to fight for today over the next 3 hours for these players. And I know they've just walked in. They've entered the building. They're in close to the playing hall right now. What do you think is going on in their mind?
Funny that you mentioned that, because when the players enter, we can almost feel it, even inside the commentators' room, that the players have arrived. And there it is. That's the trophy for the Blitz, and
that's the trophy for the women, I believe, and that's the trophy for the men, and that's a beautiful, stunning trophy. And today, it's right in front of the players. The audience can see it as well, and that's got to be your extra motivation. I want that piece of metal.
Absolutely, and that king and the queen, it looks really, really pretty. And I think when the players are playing their matches, you see the trophy. It definitely brings something else out in him for sure, I think.
100%. And before we get going with our first round of the day, round 10 of the Blitz event here at the Tata Steel Chess India, let's remind ourselves and everyone of the standings, where we are at the tournament, because we've got a sole leader in both men and the women.
True, but as I said earlier, in the open section, I believe the race is a bit closer, which is a big surprise to me. And in the women's section, I think one player is kind of running away with it, but I think the first 3 rounds will decide if she completely runs away with it or not. So let's have the standings on the board for the men's section.
I love it when there is a close fight. I love that we have such little margin between the players. Magnus at top with 6.5 points, and then just a half-point lead and 9 rounds still to be played, pretty much all across the hedge we see in that top 5. And then up until Vidit, the gap is barely there. Anything can happen. But then you've got this 1-point margin. So Nodirbek needs to get on a hot streak to try to have a shot at the podium finish. We've got the Indians up there, Pragg and Arjun. They've made a big comeback in this tournament. What stands out to you right now going into round 10 here?
So, also, Pragg finished second in the rapid section as well. So he's having a spectacular event. Very nicely mentioned, Tanya. What stands out to me is, the top 5 players. You are absolutely right. These players are fighting for the first place. And Vidit had that heartbreaking last round against Magnus. Had he won, it would have completely opened up the entire standings for the men's section. And but that didn't happen. It's very, very sad. But I feel. It's still going to be a close fight.
It's going to be a close fight. The one thing I'm surprised to see is that Nihal hasn't really gotten going. He's such a speed demon, as we call him, but he's right now struggling at 3.5 points, second to the bottom there. And for Vincent as well, it's not been a great start. I want to point out one more thing. You mentioned Pragg. Pragg started with 3 losses on day 1 of the Blitz and then went on a hot streak. 6 back-to-back victories. He's got to be feeling the momentum.
Absolutely, and let's hope the momentum keeps going. I want to circle back to Nihal just for a minute. We say that he is this bullet king, at least of India. He's definitely one of the best players when it comes to bullet and blitz for the Indian players. But do you think that when it comes to OTB chess or when it comes to online chess, there is a slight difference there, or do you think this is just not the best tournament for Nihal?
Oh, Saj, I've seen him here in Tata Steel Chess India before. He really is a force to reckon with. He hasn't gotten started yet, but it's so much about just getting those couple of wins in and everything can turn around. Day 1 hasn't been great for Nihal. Hopefully, he'll find his form today. It is the last day. You've got to do it now or it's too late. Women's standings, we've got that in front of us. And as you mentioned, there's one player with a whole point ahead. And this leaderboard tells a completely different story because look at the top 3.
Absolutely. We've got Lagno on 7 points, Gunina, the world blitz champion, on 6, and Goryachkina on 5. The most surprising thing to me is that Goryachkina, I believe after the first 4 rounds, she was on 3.5 out of 4, and she was going really, really well. But then something shifted in her momentum, and and it reflects that on the standings. But I still feel she can make a very good comeback, although the difference between her and Katrina is 2 points, which is a lot of points when it comes to Blitz.
It's a lot of points, but a lot of games to be played as well today. So once again, anything can happen. We could be talking a different narrative by round 4 or 5 here right now. I also see a bit of an Indian traffic jam there, starting from the 4th spot. Divya Deshmukh, Vantika Agarwal, Hampi and Harika, all right in the mix. They're in the middle of the leaderboard, looking at getting a couple of victories. And once again, yes, right now it looks like a massive lead. But I would say this also has a shot at changing up.
Definitely. We saw the form that Vantika was in, and Divya just hit 2500. Humpy G is, Humpy G. I think not much can be said about that besides her name, because she is.
The name is enough.
The name is enough, I think there, and I feel they can definitely make a very, very good comeback over here. But coming back to this, I think 2.5 point difference.
It's a lot.
It's very difficult to say that they're going to make. They're fighting for the first place, because a lot of results have to go their way, which are not under their control. So I think still they are in good spirits. If they can score 7, 8 out of 9, and the other players maybe do not perform that well, maybe we can see a podium finish by the Indian players.
Well, Valentina Gunina at second place right now is the reigning World Blitz champion. But Lhano is saying, hey, I'm the 3-time World Blitz champion. I've got a 1-point lead at 7 points. So can somebody catch and stop Lhano's force that she is right now in Blitz? It's to be seen in the day of action coming up. Let's bring up our arena and see if the players have arrived. Sahaj, I got a bit of a glimpse. Our audience is ready. The audience has arrived and shown up.
I want to go and sit over there as well because I want to catch this action live. Look at all of these people. I mean, I'm honestly jealous of these players because they get to see the world's best player right in their hometown, you know, playing Blitz, which is, I feel, the most entertaining format of chess.
It really is. It's absolutely thrilling to watch because there's so much action going on, and the players, they've got to be on top of their game, right? They've got to keep the speed and the accuracy, and that is a tightrope to walk on.
True, absolutely true, and not to mention this intuitive feeling that, you know, of course Magnus, you know, dominates on, but and of course Nihal. This is kind of what makes Nihal, you know, a force to be reckoned with. That his intuitive feeling is, you know, just unmatched.
But Nihal right now struggling in the tournament. Magnus, well, he had that loss against Arjun, and he could have had that second loss to Vidit as well at the end of the day. That was, and he managed to survive that. He's still at the top of the leaderboard. There's a reason why he's 6-time World Blitz champion, I want to say.
Wow. And you know, Magnus Carlsen is the only player in the world who could be leading the event and we can still say that the tournament is not going his way.
Because he drops a half point here. Yeah. He's always looking for the best, but I think he's got reasons. Yes, the Arjun game, he somewhere got trapped in the opening. And somehow, you know, that's something you can easily recover from as well, because you know that your opponent tricked you in the opening. You were not able, you made one mistake, that queen move that he played, and there was no coming back from it. A 20 move loss, and that was so important for Arjun because right now he's as well somewhere at the top of the standings. He's got 5.5 points. He's just a point behind Magnus, and we've got the reigning women Blitz world champion in front of us. Now, we spoke about Pragg. His sister Vaishali, she's having a little bit of a tough run as well in the women.
True, she's, I believe, on 2.5 points, if I'm not mistaken. No, sorry, 3.5 points. Oh, we have the ceremonial move, I feel, on the women's section. Tanya, don't look at the screen. Tell me what this ceremonial move is. This is not a difficult one. It's my favorite opening in the world.
And you said that, so I'm going to guess it's the Queen's Pawn opening. It's on the Queen's board as well. We've got Humpy with a smile. Wow, and Goryachkina as well. So they're having some fun on their board.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. By the way, circling back to the open section, in the last round, Arjun was playing against Pragg. And if Arjun had won that game, and if in some way, you know, Vidit had defeated Magnus, then Arjun would be the one leading this tournament at this point with 6.5 points, the same amount of points as Magnus Carlsen.
Oh wow, and that I think is Anish Sarkar, the youngest player in the world to get a rating, a chess rating. He's just a little over 3 years old. At 3 to have a rating of 1555. Look at that scene that we have in front of us. Watching all the greats of the world. He's on Vidit's board, this little boy, and Vidit goes into meditation mode. How inspiring is this for Anish?
It is very inspiring indeed. And Tanya, I have a very funny story to tell you. Actually, on one of the days, I actually met Anish and I said to him that, hey, do you want a puzzle? And he says, yes, of course I want a puzzle. So I gave him one of those helpmates, you know, from the original position. You say, okay, on move 3, move 4, you have to get this position and try to figure it out. So he does it, you know, very easily in like 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. And then he says to me, can you give me a real puzzle now?
That's too easy for me. Did you see that? Anish wants to shake hands with Pragg and with Vidit. We see Sagar on the screens as well. Vidit, you know, he's smiling. It's all way too cute.
Oh, yes, he is. he indeed is. And he loves chess. At this age, he absolutely loves chess.
I think, Sahaj, he's going to make the ceremonial move. Oh. It's going to be Anish. And how fitting is that? You know, Kolkata, the Tata Steel Chess India, it's a celebration of chess. The motivation, the inspiration that these youngsters have. And there it is. He can barely reach. Did he do the Queen's Pawn opening? He goes for 1d4. Vidit says, no, I'm not playing that against Pragg. Takes it back. But everyone is all smiles right now.
That is so cute indeed. Oh, I love it. I love it. Yep, we have d4 on the board. Yeah, as a ceremonial move.
Too much cuteness in Kolkata. And we see that, well, the players are ready to go now. All that is behind them. Oh, I think we're going to have one more on the Magnus board.
I believe that's Leon on the board. He's also a grandmaster, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's Leon.
Yes.
I believe he's also a resident of Budapest, if I'm not mistaken.
Your
so
city.
yeah, so, in my city,
Oof. The jackets are off, and Magnus Carlsen does that. Reminds me of Garry Kasparov. They used to say when he would take off his watch, that's game over for the players. Magnus is ready to roll as well on this final day. And we can see from our scenes that it's go time. We've got liftoff.
Let's do it. So let's have the bird's eye view so we can have a quick brief of each game in the open section. There we have it, Tanya. So top left corner, the 4 knights. Wow. SL, I think, playing it a bit safe against Magnus, I think, at least. In top center board, Vidit versus Pragg is still very, very early, but Pragg plays his trademark opening, the Bogo Indian. And the top right corner, Arjun versus Wesley, is going to be a very, very difficult match, I think, because here we are going to see some fireworks. Ooh, Wesley plays e5, Tanya. Wow, I have not seen this move before. Maybe Vishy sir can come here and explain it to me, that this was theory in 2000, whenever. But yeah, okay, bottom left corner we have Daniel versus Nodirbek. Okay, still early days there. I'm not sure what's going on. I think it looks a bit, a little imbalanced, but looks slightly more comfortable for Daniel. And then Nihal versus Vincent is, again, Bogo Indian, but that's not Pragg playing with the black pieces. It's a bit early to say.
Well, I'm going to say that our top 3 boards is really what is most relevant to our standings currently. You've got Magnus on top, then you've got Pragg, and then you've got Arjun. So let's start over there. And I'm going to quickly bring up the Arjun versus Wesley, and we'll take it from there if we can have that up, because you said that promises to be a fun one after e5, and I think it's already on the board. Wesley won a fantastic game against Arjun yesterday. We had that incredible sacrifice on g6, and what a power performance that was. And right now, Wesley, with this last move, which he's moved the f-pawn forward, wants to once again open up the position. This is the kind of chess where Arjun wants to be black.
If you told me that these two players are playing against each other and you wouldn't tell me which color, I would say Arjun is black here, that's for sure. Okay, so he goes for f5. Wesley always trying, starting really, really strong, as he did in the first day as well. f5 on the board, and Arjun takes the pawn, and I believe he's going to capture back with the bishop. Still a bit early to say. I really like Wesley's position, Tanya.
Yes, and it's really interesting and the reason you like it is because black's king is safe. The f-file is about to open up. Look at the piece activity. The queen eyes the g-pawn. If you try to defend it by getting your king to safety, suddenly there are problems on this bishop because the white queen will get pinned. And really quickly, I think short castle immediately walks into e4 and you end up losing a piece.
True, indeed. I think e4 is a very dangerous set. Queen c2 is a blunder. Wait, that seems like a logical move to me because he's threatening bishop to c4. Oh, maybe he missed queen f5 check, Tanya. Also, g2 is hanging.
Another player who missed queen a5 check, and that was a disaster, was Magnus yesterday against Arjun. Queen c2 given a double question mark right there. Can Wesley capitalize on this moment? He has slowed down, so he can sense that things have gone wrong. He does go for queen a5 check. And now, Arjun has completely lost the right to castle. This is going to be a tough one for Arjun. Let's quickly switch to the Pragg board and get an update on that. I think the opening outcome, we can round up, the battle of the opening has been won by Wesley in this one.
Definitely, that is for sure. And we will have Vidit versus Pragg at the All-Indian matchup. Ooh, that looks interesting. Vidit doing Vidit things, yeah. Vidit playing that solid, that squeezing water out of a stone kind of a position from Vidit's side. But also, Pragg has this control over the c5 square, and if he's able to, completely occupy that, then maybe his position becomes a bit more comfortable. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. I think Vidit is looking more comfortable to me.
Again, once it comes down to this d pawn, which has gone over the halfway mark on the board, giving white more space as well. I think Pragg is trying to break through with that space, trying to target that central pawn. That last move hints at a central bake on c6. We'll see if Pragg can manage to get that in, but I agree with you. Things so far in the balance. But I also slightly prefer white. The black knight not in the game. By the way, c6 has happened on the board. So some decisions for Vidit to be made. Should we head over to our tournament leader?
Let's do it. SL versus Magnus on the board coming up. And I think Magnus is a pawn up. Oh, sorry. I thought there was a pawn on a7, but that isn't there. Although he can win a pawn if he takes the queen and takes the bishop. But I think this is, even though Magnus is a pawn up in this position, it's a bit hard to win this because of the opposite colored bishop. But, and also, you know, SL having this outside pawn on a5, which I think is going to be very much needed in this position to hold down the fort. So I think this is headed towards a draw, but knowing that it is Magnus and it's an endgame, he's going to find a way.
But also notice how Magnus is the one who's about 30 seconds behind in this position. He desperately wants to create chances, but I don't see how you end up doing that. You pointed out black has an extra pawn, but these being doubled on the c file, it's very hard to actually make progress with them, and SL's the one who's keeping the pressure. You know, he's eyeing the g5 break at a point, the a pawn distracting as well. He fixes the black king side to the square where the bishop can target it. I'm actually liking white's position.
But Tanya, I think he did not want to play the move h5 because it was Magnus who was threatening h5 from his side, and he was forced to do that. And now all of his pawns are fixed on the light square, which is the same color as his opponent's bishop. So that makes it a bit of a target in the longer run. I think Magnus is going to play this out.
He always plays these positions out. We could see a potential repetition with the rooks going, but Magnus makes his intentions clear. He wants more in this position. This might just be a Magnus grind, and I think it's going to go on for at least another 100 moves. So let's head back to the Vidit Pragg board, because there is definitely action, middle game action in this position.
Yep, Vidit taking the pawn on c6 and maybe some knight d6 ideas on in the horizon, but if I go bishop takes c6, is that actually working? Yes, it is working actually, Tanya, because I can go knight d6 and I take the pawn on f5 and I take the queen on e7 with a check. It's some nice tactics. Although now that I see it, the computer doesn't like that move so much, but it seems very, very human to me.
And look at this, now the knight is hanging, the queen was hanging, so he moves it to a square to stay connected to the knight. And right now, white has an extra pawn. But black has a lot of activity, and this pawn isn't going to stop on this central square. It's also aiming at moving one step ahead at the right time. He's disconnected the queen from defending the white knight. This is such a tricky position to play, and Pragg has got 5 seconds on the clock. Let's go full screen on our players.
5 seconds is not 5 seconds, and being a pawn down is definitely not an ideal situation. Look, the things are looking good for Vidit. But let's not forget, Pragg is leading this. Pragg is right behind Magnus with only half a point lead. So this is very, very crucial that for Pragg to at least score something to be in the podium. Okay, queen e5. Okay, can I go?
And I just noticed somehow Magnus Carlsen just won his game in a position that looked absolutely drawn. And once again, vintage Magnus winning against SL. You know, just never going to an end game with him. We'll check in on that once we're done with this. Unbelievable.
But if you don't go into the end game, what do you do in chess? That's the question I feel every chess player has to ask themselves. It's absolutely bizarre that he won that end game, but we'll circle back to that. Rook f4, and is the pawn hanging on c4? I believe it is.
You could take knight takes pawn, queen d5, tactics everywhere. So he first comes back with the king, not allowing the queen to pin that e4 pawn. And again, it could be anyone's game. Now, Vidit needs to win this. He's currently on 5 points on 5th place. If he wants a chance at the standings, he has to beat Pragg.
Absolutely right, but I must say that from a Blitz perspective, from a practical perspective, I think Pragg's position is looking really comfortable to me. If I had to choose a color between black or white, I will choose Pragg here, because, you know, white's pawns are not looking really good here to me.
Despite having an extra pawn, so many weaknesses, and wow, it's still a game for all 3 results. Vidit has been forced to the defense of the e3 pawn.
Like look at his last move, bringing the knight to the back rank. That's not a move you want to play. It's a move you have to play.
Not a happy move. Rook takes knight. Has he missed rook takes knight?
Oh.
He just missed rook takes knight.
Oh.
Pragg just blunders. And you remember their first encounter yesterday. He was completely winning. Then he lost the advantage, and then he walked into a fork. Pragg again blunders a piece against Vidit.
Ooh, Blitz, these types of things happens in Blitz, yeah? I mean, wait, what?
And Pragg returns the Vidit returns the favor with another blunder, and now with this check, Pragg would have won the rook. Pragg gets some kind of a poetic revenge from yesterday, I want to say, but let's quickly go to the Arjun Wesley game.
So let's just tell the audience what just happened.
What just happened?
Vidit blundered and he was completely lost, and then Pragg blundered. He was completely lost. He was a piece down, and then Vidit returns the favor and he blunders a whole rook in a
one-move blunder.
A one-move blunder
By
in time
both
pressure.
players.
It happens, of course, but wow, that is sad indeed, and that's great news for Pragg, because now he's Magnus is on 7.5 and he's 7 right behind him. So it's going to be a close fight.
Just how unpredictable chess can be. Pragnananda keeps the pace with Magnus. Meanwhile, Wesley versus Arjun has finished in a draw, I believe. I don't have an update on the result, but I can see the kings.
Yeah, they are. I believe they're repeating the moves with rook g6, rook h6. We don't have the analysis board just yet, but I believe that is what happens. Yeah, I think so. It's check, and it's a 3-4 repetition. The players have agreed to a draw, and I think that means Arjun is on 5.5, or would it be 6?
We'll check in with the standings, but Daniel Dubov is the other player who's in the mix, because he is on the same point, started the day on the same points as Arjun. This is his position. Looks like he's about to leapfrog Arjun.
Yep, that is true. This is textbook Lucina endgame,
yes.
which is one of the first things you learn in chess. It's a theoretically one endgame. I think the game has already finished. It hasn't updated on our end yet, but
I think he just resigned.
Yeah.
He just resigned, and Nodirbek, it's been a tough blitz for him. Dubov also paces up. And Sahaj, is there any other live game that's on right now?
In the open section, no, but also, Tanya, I would like to draw your attention to something. I think this is the first and the only time where in the open section, all 5 games were decisive.
Wow. So a lot of blood on the board to start the day with. The players woke up and chose violence. And right now, we've got one game on in the women's section. Divya Deshmukh playing on 5 seconds. She's got the bishop and knight against the double bishop that Lahano has, but the white knight is beautifully placed in the center of the board. And right now, this looks like it's going to most likely end in a draw, Saj.
Looks like it, but it's not an easy draw at all, because once the knight on f3 goes to d5, then Katrina would have some problems to solve. Look, for example, bishop h4 happens on the board, and now the f6 pawn is gone. Wow, they're playing really, really fast in this position.
I think the board is just catching up. Let's go full screen with our players.
Divya putting the pressure for sure, and I think she has gotten a slightly better version of this endgame. This is going to be harder for Katrina to defend. She pushes the f pawn. The bishop retreats back, and now she's going to push her own pawn on c3. And well, I think this looks like Katrina has neutralized the end game. It looks like it's going to head into a draw, but still not so easy. By the way, Valentina Gunina, who was who was playing second, has finished her game as well, and she has made a draw against Harika.
Oh, and look at the stress and the panic here with seconds on the clock, but she's got an extra pawn. There's no way, but I should never say that in Blitz. Are they just going to repeat? No, she's trying for more. Divya comes back with the king, but the bishop pair. It's too hard to imagine actually winning this game.
Absolutely right. Even if Katrina just gives up that bishop for one of the pawns, even that is going to be a draw, unless some blunder happens, which is very, very unlikely in these positions.
You said unlikely. It's very likely. This is Blitz, but I agree. There are such few pieces on the board.
But I mean, in such positions, it's,
Yes.
it's harder to make blunders, because there's not a lot of tactics on the horizon.
Well, it's never over till it's over in Blitz, and right now, if one of the pieces get traded, or even if black gives up the bishop for the pawn, but I don't think she will go for that, because then you have to be on the defense. That's the last line of defense, to sacrifice a bishop for the central pawn.
Indeed. I just saw the tactic. If she retreated with the king, then knight c7 check would have been lost for Katrina. So you are right about, she's going into that position. Yeah, if she just takes the pawn, then you are playing that endgame, which is a theoretical draw, but I think Divya is still going to play that out.
She's still not allowing it. I mean, she's not giving up that piece. Is she going to do it now, or does she just fall back with the bishop? She takes it, and this is it. Now it does finally end in a draw, goes into the opposite color bishop position, and the audience gets a fight.
Absolutely. That's the last game of this round. Divya looked a bit unhappy there at the end because she did have some chances, some practical chances to, take down the tournament leader, but she did not budge. Katrina is still leading the event with a point ahead. All the players it was Katrina at 7, Valentina on 6, and Goryachkina on 5, 1 point difference, and each player made a draw. So nothing changed in the standings there, Tanya. In the Blitz format is quite unlikely, yeah?
It is, and Saj, that's what I love. I love the unpredictability of this format, but yet right now, not much has changed on our leaderboard, but exciting chess. I think so much happened on the Pragg board. Should we quickly just highlight those last few moves of tactics that we witnessed, because it happened so quickly?
Absolutely, because we have to explain, because we had to move really fast, but it's vital for us to explain what happened there. In the game between Vidit and Pragg. We'll just have that on the board for you shortly. 1 second, so we go here and then we click here. So this was the game. And what, I mean, Tanya, this is so heartbreaking from Vidit's perspective, yeah? To have this position, to be pushing literally from move 1, I feel Vidit was pushing for a win in this game. And he had that position. Just one bad move just takes it all away.
And this reminds me exactly of the narrative of their first game yesterday, Sahaj.
Yeah.
It was Pragg on the receiving end. And this is what happened. I think this is where we'll take it from. It looks like everything's under control. White has an extra pawn, but not very healthy pawns. Black has this immense piece activity. And here, Pragg retreats the queen to b4. And with it sets up this nice little trick. He offers a queen trade. He says, if you go into the endgame, I've got the extra pawn. I'm really happy. And here's where the first blunder happened.
Absolutely. I think Pragg plays the move queen to d2 here. Let's highlight, or queen e1 here. Let's highlight that for the audience. Because after queen e1, I think Pragg thought that queen e2 check was possible. But it is defended by the queen on b5. A very, very clever tactic by Vidit. And we just allowed rook takes f6, taking away the defensive stance of that rook on e8. And you can also take on e8 with the check. In classical, in rapid, already Pragg would have resigned. But this is Blitz. He knows that because of the time situation, it's not so easy to convert. And Vidit had a one bad moment here, which just turned things around. And
you just never give up. You keep playing. He attacked the knight. The rook comes back to defend, to counter. This is completely busted. You're totally winning as white. You've got a whole extra piece and one extra pawn, which gets picked up. But look at this. Barely any compensation. Now putting pressure on this knight. An unbelievable move here. You simply move it. You can move the knight anywhere. Well, be a little careful where you move it. You could just come back with the rook, defend the knight. Maybe you can even put your knight to the edge of the board and then redirect it to the center. But he moves it to the one square that disconnects the queen from this pawn.
Absolutely right, Tanya. But let's also highlight the fact that in this position, before he moved the knight, knight h3, I'm pretty sure Vidit saw that and realized that there is queen e4 check, queen e3 check, and it would have been a draw. It would have been a repetition. And in his mind, he knew that he doesn't want to make a draw because he's a piece up. And of course, going the rook, bringing the rook back to f1 is not an easy decision to make with 5 seconds left on your clock, because you just moved the rook from f1 to d1. You don't retreat, you don't make the same move again. That's almost like accepting your mistake. And of course, Vidit would do that. However, with 5 seconds on the clock, that's a very, very difficult decision to make. And hence, this is why he blundered the queen, the pawn on e2.
He just completely missed this point of moving the knight here, and after queen takes pawn, it's over. Nothing to play for, and Vidit Gujarati resigned at this point.
Oh, yes, this is very, very heartbreaking, Tanya. I also think that he put the knight on d3 because after queen e4 check, he would have that king h3. That extra square for the king to just go away.
Well, he could play it to g4. There are many things that you can do here,
of course.
at this moment. But I think it was a moment of blindness, and like we were talking about, it's all about the clock. And this ended at this point. So Pragg, he gets his 7th win in a row, starts the day with a win. So that is good news for Indian fans. And Saj, I think we've got about a minute before we get into the next round of the day. The players are ready to go.
Yeah, that is true. We are ready for round 2. We couldn't explain the whole thing about what happened, in each game, and the players are already ready for their second round. It just goes to show that how fast Blitz really goes. in this event. So, oh, we have Pragg versus Magnus, Tanya.
And this has to be our marquee matchup. And Pragg starts this time with the white pieces. He starts with a momentum of feeling that, hey, maybe Lady Luck is on my side today, because maybe Kaisa, the god of chess, is smiling at me today because I just won a completely lost position.
Absolutely right. And now he's definitely going to need all of that against the goat of chess. And we also know that Magnus, has this liking to Pragg, so there might be some psychological aspect there as well. So this will be a very, very cool match to see. And then we have liftoff. Come on, Pragg. Okay, he plays e4. He plays the king's pawn. We have liftoff there. Okay, if we can have the bird's eye view, so we can go a deep dive into each of the games. And there we have it. I think the Pragg versus Magnus board is the bottom right corner. It is the Italian opening. Magnus has played that move h6 on the corner of the board to stop the bishop from coming to g5. I believe Vishy sir said yesterday that is a very, very sharp opening, and I have seen many games of Pragg playing bishop to g5. So Magnus not trying to go into an extremely sharp opening early on. Okay, rook e1 happens on the board, and maybe his idea is to open up that square for the knight to go to f1 and then to g3. Very, very typical in these positions, Tanya.
Classic thematic play so far, and it's Magnus who gets the first central break in, and it's so much about that. Does white strike with d4 or black strikes with d5? Meanwhile, on the other boards, we've still got KG action going on. No central break so far. But also what catches my attention is the Wesley versus Vidit, the bottom left board. Vidit's going all out on the king side. He's managed to push h6, g5. He gets his knight towards the opponent's king. So that's going to be a fun battle as well. And then the other board that I want to draw your attention to is the top right corner, and that's Arjun versus Nodirbek. Arjun in the mix as well in the standings. But a slow start in that one as well. Which opening is that coming from? Is that from the London, from your favorite opening?
Yes, absolutely. I don't. I root for London all the time, but it's very hard when the opponent is Arjun. Let's hop over to the women's section as well to see what is happening. 1 second. There we have the women's section, and let's remind everyone that Katrina Lagno is the one leading with a full point, followed by Valentina Gunina and Aleksandra Goryachkina, respectively. The game between Katrina Lagno is on the top right corner of the screen. What is happening there, Tanya? Why is that pawn on f6? Why is the black pawn on f6? I have no idea.
And white has managed to get the kingside knight to a square where the queenside knight belongs. The queen is out to f3. A very strange opening. Black has the bishop pair in compensation. Now Vaishali's knight is about to jump even further onto the f4 square if it's allowed to. All around, really dynamic play. But I think the one game we should check into in this one is Lano's game, like you're pointing it out. So let's deep dive into it really quickly before we switch over to the men's board.
Absolutely. The Lagno board.
7.5 out of 10. And she's playing against Vaishali, who's at 3.5.
Oh, wow.
She wants to score this one. She starts with white.
Tanya, that's a great point. And also she's playing with the white pieces. So that definitely, adds on to the pressure that, she has to deliver in this match, because Vaishali is not having the best tournament. And winning this match would definitely bring Katrina one step closer to winning this tournament. Knight c4 happens on the board. I really like Katrina's position already. But in these positions, you have to push f4. But let's switch back to Pragg versus Magnus, because something very, very crazy has happened.
That's the biggest one. I think that's the game we really want to look at, and we'll bring up our analysis board on it and enjoy this, because this is between the tournament leader, the world #1 Magnus Carlsen, and the player right behind him at 7 points. A half a point margin. If Pragg wins this, he leapfrogs the standings.
True, absolutely true. And it's still not clear. The position seems fairly balanced for now. If I go bishop takes d4, what's happening, Tanya?
This is the big question, because bishop takes pawn. You've got bishop takes knight. He first trades on e8.
Tanya, that's you found that really fast, I have to say. Okay, can I go knight takes e8 or should I go queen takes e8? What should I play here?
Well, if queen takes rook, then you can take the pawn on d4. You will have to recapture on b5. And then are you happy with this pawn structure? I'm not so sure. Which is why I think Magnus recaptures with the knight. A lot of trades are happening.
So Magnus says that I don't want to rupture my pawn structure, but temporarily you can have an extra pawn, but that pawn on b5 I feel is going to get taken soon.
Really quickly, Sahaj, here bishop takes pawn was not possible because after king takes bishop, suddenly the queen is overloaded. You don't have time to pick up the bishop. If you throw in a rook takes rook, the bishop gets defended. You can recapture with the queen or the bishop. So bishop takes pawn was a tactic that doesn't work. Instead, rook takes rook on the
Tanya
board.
on fire as usual.
And we've got some more moves. So right now, Pragg has an extra pawn, but I'm hesitant to call it a healthy pawn, simply because one is being attacked right now. This bishop looks like a beautiful piece. Yes, you can argue that white has its counterpart, but look at the key defending role that Magnus's bishop on f8 is doing right now.
Absolutely defending that g7 pawn. So all of those kingside attack ideas with queen g4 are not possible, at least for the moment. Maybe I can capture bishop.
What? No, that did not happen.
Okay.
Queen to f6 would have been a blunder.
That was a bad moment to have a lag.
Not good for my heart, computer.
Okay, bishop takes d5, queen takes d5, and I think the b5 pawn is getting taken very, very soon. I believe in the next move itself. So this
d3 is
match,
attacked, b5 is attacked.
he plays queen b3, and I think he just takes and goes knight b5. And do the players agree to a draw, or because it's Magnus, he just continues playing?
Last time we checked in, don't go into an endgame with Magnus, seemed to be the advice. I wonder if Magnus will play on and how ambitious he's feeling about his chances right now. I just want to point out that, you know, this is a beautiful structure to have against a dark squared bishop. You take away the key activity, you're not allowing any targets. I think for Pragg, he's going to try to break on the king side at some point.
True. However, I do like Pragg's chances a bit more, because those pawns on the king side are great, but they can also be something to, you know, target in the future of the game, I feel. Because Pragg's pawns are all placed on the light squares, and they are placed ideally. Black's bishop. Yeah, Black's bishop can never attack them, ever. So I do like his chances a bit more. I think it is Pragg who's trying to play this, but I think this is going to materialize into a draw very, very fast.
Well, the king of chess has a great king right now in the center of the board. I like his piece activity. Very possible. I think the most likely outcome in this one is a draw. Big question is Magnus going to play this on? Because also Pragg is on 5 seconds.
He just plays d4, so he's just off. That's a polite draw for. He doesn't want any imbalance anymore. He wants to go for the draw.
Saj, look at the way Magnus is thinking about his decision. He wants to try to keep as much tension on the board as possible. He's struggling to find a way to keep the game going.
He seems to be unhappy that he can't find a way to.
Oh, he just offered a draw because I think he wanted to pin the pawn, but he realizes his own knight is hanging. Everything gets traded off. Pragg versus Magnus. A big encounter ends in a draw. Meanwhile, Saj, where do you want to go to next?
I think let's hop over to Vincent versus Daniel Dubov, because Dubov is on 6.5 points. He's only 1 point behind Magnus, and if he wins this, he's going to
catch up with Magnus.
He's going to be in the same points as Pragg at the moment.
So and half point behind Magnus.
Half point behind Magnus only. And rook e4, look at what a powerful move that is. If you take on e4, then I will capture back with my f pawn, and I'll have that, you know, majestic center.
I believe we've already got a result right now. It was a draw. The game has ended in a draw. So we'll look into it deeper. But I want to go to the Wesley board because I see the bar in front of me. By the way, Magnus also wants to go to the Wesley board. He's standing right behind and looking at what's going on there. Apparently, Vidit is down a rook.
And I didn't see the bishop on a7, but yeah, he is down a rook. Something bad happened in this game, so not the best start for Vidit.
And the white king just races towards the black pawns. I don't see a way for Vidit to create any play with his extra pawns here. It's a lot of pawns given. How many to be exact? 5 extra pawns.
Oh, we have seen that before, Tanya.
That time it was only for a piece though. This time it's for a rook.
But still, the piece won in that position.
That is true, but also that was Magnus.
That's good point. Good point. So we've got king f6. Okay, this is, I think, a very.
The pawns are all falling one by one.
Yeah.
Vidit's going to suffer his second defeat in a row.
Yeah, he definitely would not be happy. I also think something has to do with nerves here. You know, with his. Of course, he's not happy about the fact that he was completely winning against Pragg. And then we have this the last board between Nodirbek and Arjun. Oh, Arjun actually trying for some tricks here, because he takes the pawn on d5, and now I think he has very solid chances.
Let's go full screen with the players. The players are down to under 10 seconds, both of them playing on their last seconds. And with the knights on the board, things can get extremely tricky. 2 extra pawns for black, an extremely safe king. Is Arjun going to win this one, Saj?
I would say 100% because 2 pawns is a lot of pawns in this at this level. And if he wins, let's just remind everyone, he will be sharing the 3rd spot with 7 points. So he would only be 1 point behind Magnus. So Arjun still keeping up the pace.
He has to still convert this position. And for Nodirbek, this has been a really tough event. You know, from the rapid, you're leading on day 1, you're so close, and then you finish the rapid section with, well, actually up until day 3. And then things go wrong on day 3, and in the Blitz, he never took off. And now Arjun's H-pawn is ready to march down the board.
All the way down, there is nothing that can stop it. And I think Nodirbek is also struggling with time. So there's no checks possible also in this position. So there's nothing he can do. It's just H3, I think.
You really want your queen to be here, but there's no way to really get there. He loses that last pawn as well.
Oh, Arjun making 0 mistakes in this position, yeah? I mean, this technique is fantastic. And by the way, let's remind everyone, this is the last round in the open section between Nodirbek and Arjun. Very, very crucial match for Arjun because if he wins, he shares the 3rd spot and keeps himself.
Well, he can go queen e1 and that's a checkmate, and he just resigned with all the checkmates on the board. A big win for Arjun.
Absolutely, absolutely. And he delivered that really nicely as well. And with that, he shares the 3rd spot with Daniel-Dubov. Now we are seeing basically the top 4 players who are essentially in the contention for the 1st place. We can have the standings very, very soon. But let's also check the women's section. Tanya, what is happening there?
Yes, let's quickly check in because Katerina Lano, who looked unstoppable, undefeatable, has just lost to Vaishali. And Vaishali has struggled in the tournament so far, so this could be the turnaround moment for Vaishali.
Absolutely right. Wow, chess can be so unpredictable sometimes.
Blitz said anything can happen. And let's bring up, should we take a look at that game?
Yeah, that's a very, very important match. So let's actually take a look at that game and see what happened. Because we were looking at the opening and it looked comfortable for Lagno there. Oh, that's why f6 happened there. Okay, cool.
Just to stop the bishop and all the play along it. And we saw this moment where we felt that white is the one, you know, getting the queen out, getting the knight out. We see some development here. The knight heading towards the light squares.
Okay, rook f7, knight comes out to d2, bishop goes back, and she
Lano
pushes.
with her ambitious play here.
Yep, Vishy sir would be so proud. With h4, knight e7. Oh, she goes g4 as well. Wow, Arjun would be so proud.
I would be terrified as black here to face this, but also the white king still in the center, and this is traditional chess wisdom. Your opponent goes for an attack in the flank, you counter it with a central break.
Absolutely right. And does he castle
sorry.
here? Does he castle here or what
So
happened?
we had d5 and we had long castle.
I see. Okay, a5. Oh, this also looks a bit dangerous for Katrina also.
I think a very important move, a4, making sure that a-pawn doesn't move forward, but Vaishali, she continues to put pressure. c4 in the air as well.
c4 in the air, queen g3, knight g6. She pushes the h1. You know, usually you want to play h6 in these positions, but here it doesn't do much. Oh, she plays h6.
Knight e2. She missed a move. A fork in one, losing the queen.
And Tanya, as did I. That is insane.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
And that's game over. That's
Wow.
it. She played on, but you lose the queen, you lose the game, and Vaishali had 25 seconds, but that's enough to convert it.
Yeah, that's a bit of an unfortunate one, missing knight e2 check. It can happen in Blitz, because you know when you're making decisions that fast, you don't have the time to calculate. You have to rely on your intuition. Mistakes like that can happen. I mean, we saw Magnus also missing queen f5 check. I mean, of course, in his sleep he would see moves like that. In Blitz, though, it's a different story.
Wow, unbelievable stuff here. And this means that in the women's section, the field is suddenly wide open as the tournament leader has suffered her first defeat at the hands of Vaishali. So let's bring up our standings as we're about to head into the next round, Sahaj, round 12 coming up. 7 more games to go for the players.
True, 7 more games. Let's see what the situation is like. So if we can have the standings on the board. I think not much has changed though, Tanya, because it is Magnus, Pragg and Arjun and Dubov. I believe it is the same standings as we started out with. Then we have the women's standings with Katrina Lagno on 7.5.
Still a point ahead.
Yes, because I think Valentina also suffered a defeat, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, so Katrina Lagno on 7.5, Valentina Gunina on 6.5, and then Goryachkina on 6. So Goryachkina is trying to bridge the gap a little bit, because the difference between 1, 2, 3 was 1 point. Now the difference between 2 and 3 is just half a point at the moment.
And the Indians are really mixing the scene up in the women, because it was Humpy who strikes in her game against Gunina. She won her game against Valentina, which means there's a point difference. But see, the players are catching up, Sad. And at the start of the day, it felt like, someone's going to run away. But again, it's a matter of just one game. One more bad result for Lano and the field is wide open. It's still anyone's tournament and 7 games of Blitz to go. You've just lost the game. You've just walked into a one-move blunder. She has to leave that behind. She has to forget about that and just concentrate on the good form and think, you know what, I had a blind spot. It's out of the way. And now let me get back to what I do best.
True, but as a chess player, it's very hard to do that sometimes, especially when you have less than 10 minutes to get your mind in the right place, because you start you almost don't trust yourself. You almost trust your decisions a bit less going into the next game. And in Blitz, where intuition is everything, that's going to be a key factor.
Intuition will be everything in the next few games, because this is Blitz. It's so much about the clock. The clock is the 17th piece. You have to put pressure on that. And the one player who continues to put pressure on the standings is Magnus Carlsen. He's at 8 points, still keeps that half-point lead ahead. Right behind him, Pragnananda with 7.5. And isn't this the exact leaderboard that we had at the start of the day as well, where you've got Magnus, Pragg, Arjun and Daniel just chasing right behind? But the big switch up has happened with Wesley and Vidit.
Yup, big switch up indeed. But Magnus doing Magnus things just as usual, and Pragg. I believe this is the standings that we started out with, Tanya, right? I think so. I think this is the day that we started out with, when it a bit. Yeah, and Dubov was the one who was sharing the spot with Arjun as well. So I think nothing crazy, but you look at the difference between number 4 and number 5. Yeah, a 2-point lead. So
and that's been the big switch up. And we've got a switch up in our commentary panel, because joining us to take us through all the critical rounds is none other than the 5-time world champion, the legend himself. He's back in the studio with us. Vishwanathan Anand, what a day of chess it's been. Vishy, awesome to have you on the panel with us. And we're just getting set here in our studio as we quickly take you to the arena, getting ready here.
Okay, we're just getting set up. Give us a few moments. Oh, look at the arena over there, and some players that have already sat down. They're adjusting their pieces, looking really quite good. Vishy sir,
hi.
How are you doing?
Good.
Anand, awesome to have you back here with us. We've had quite a dramatic day so far, with a lot of one-move blunders. Just to kick things off before we go into the next round, how do you explain that?
Happens in Blitz. Well, it just happens. This stuff is par for the course. That's all.
And Magnus has still got a half-point lead, but Pragg right behind him. So it's a very close race in the Tata Steel Chess India Blitz. What are we expecting going forward? What kind of switch-ups are we expecting? And what's going to be important for our Indian players in the next 7 rounds?
Essentially momentum. It's all momentum driven. They will just blitz through, literally, the next couple of rounds. And yeah, I mean, every point you don't chuck is good news. That's all.
You've been following the action from the Players' Lounge?
Yes.
What's been the highlight for you so far in these first 2 games? Two games of Blitz today?
To be honest, I found it hard to believe that White started with an extra pawn in that game, in the end game. Nodirbek against Arjun. White was a pawn up. Admittedly, that pawn was not easy to hold on to, but that White would lose every single one of those pawns was hard to predict.
And Arjun's pawn went on to queen, well, close to queening and win the game. Eventually, it was a checkmate. By the way, our players are ready to go, and we will be once again focusing on our relevant to standing games. And, you've got Magnus against Wesley. That's a big one. We call it the clash of titans in the chess world. Wesley's picked up pace. He's won both his game, Saj. If you can just double check that for me. What are we expecting from Magnus and Wesley in this one, Vishy? Magnus to arrive late first.
Though Wesley did threaten to start on in Blitz.
Yes, he did.
So we'll see if he follows through on his threat.
So to set the context, Magnus arrived late for the rapid game, and Wesley says, rapid doesn't matter, Sahaj, but this is Blitz, time is everything. If Magnus comes late, he's going to press the clock.
Yep.
But I mean, we have seen Magnus arrive late in Blitz before as well. I think, Tanya, you were mentioning this yesterday as well. Yeah, so there we have it. He is not late indeed. Okay, so we have the match over here. So what do you think about that match between Vidit and Pragg, where Vidit had that one slip up where he blundered the piece? Do you think that affects his momentum?
We have to put these things behind, but that's an awful game.
Yeah.
It's just awful to lose things, but I mean they were down to seconds already, which is a problem. So.
And we have liftoff.
We do have action across the board. Let's quickly check in. Wow, any surprises on the Magnus Wesley opening choice?
No, Wesley always plays the Berlin, but Magnus seems to be happy to give this system one more try.
So no anti-Berlin, but can he try for more in these kind of openings with white?
Well, Vidit went for bishop f5 and knight d6, and I always thought the easier way to play was g6, knight g7, knight e6. So, or g6, knight g7, bishop f5, as the case may be. Well, Wesley's going in for the other setup. I think now h3, bishop f5, queen e3 was the game with Vidit. Let's see if he repeats that.
We'll see, but that's a really close one, because take a look right next to that, Vishy, on that top left board, Narayanan versus Pragnananda. I think that looks like a very fun position, and we've got you. So I think that's the first game that we should jump to and take a deeper look at.
Yep, if you can have the analysis board, there we have it, Narayanan versus Pragg. That king is on f1, and I mean, I don't think even Pragg is comfortable casting. So what do you make of this position?
It is modern theory somehow. I mean, White had some options with h5, rook h4, and you do funny stuff like that.
And then you bother the queen in some way.
But instead, Pragg went in SL exchanged bishops. I guess black is fine. I mean, I can't see major issues for black.
So if you had to pick a color, would you rather be white here or would you rather be black here?
I guess I'd rather be black.
You would rather be black in this position.
This is such a strange opening. White has lost the right to castle. Black's king is still in the center. Are you planning to go short side castle and walk into one of these H or G pawns moving forward? Where do you find your king safety as black? Or not?
It's a good question. It might just stay in the center also for a while. I mean, it's not like White's king is comfortable somewhere.
The picture of safety.
Right. So White will play rook h3 or rook h4, as I mentioned.
Rook h4.
But it's a very modern thing. Okay, Pragg goes for h6.
I like that.
Kind of,
asking some questions.
Correct. Basically, asking White to choose. Is he going to go g6 or g6 or what he's going to do? So.
Feels like both of the kings are very, very unsafe wherever they go. G6 and G6 is the difference. Any other game, Tanya, that we should have our eyes on? I see Arjun versus Vincent.
Yeah.
Looks quite interesting. Maybe we can have a look there. And there we have it. Queen f6 check, by the way, in this position is the only move to have the advantage. So what do you make of this?
Well, this is one of these crazy lines. If you go back a few moves.
Wow, so a piece has been sacrificed. Just want to point that out.
Yes, it is a piece sacrifice, but this move is important on Arjun's part. Bishop f4, queen f3, queen c3, and then chucking the pawn like this with d5. So this is good prep from Arjun. Once again, from his bottomless reservoir ideas, and putting Vincent under some pressure. Because this line is supposed to be kind of dead, but Arjun keeps finding small ways to keep it going.
Also, there are so many of these openings that perhaps you won't use for classical, but for the Blitz time format, they're ideal. Even if objective evaluation doesn't work in your favor, though right now I see he's down a piece, but our bar seems to like White's position as well.
Sure.
Explain that, because usually the engine always prefers material.
Look, I think Arjun planned this. That's why, it might be a good idea. It doesn't have to be bad.
But how is this better for White here? Because
So that knight on b7 is fighting these two pawns on c5 and b4, and White can easily be better here. Your bishops don't have very good squares. They're going to be kicked around a lot.
Saj, how materialistic are you? Would you rather be black here or play for this with the pawns and the piece activity?
I would much rather be white in this position, especially after Vishy sir said that. So, and I do agree that the knight on b7 looks very, very passive in this position, and it feels like black's pieces don't have much harmony here.
I think White is under no risk at least. So.
A quick check-in with the Magnus, Wesley, before we go back to the Pragg board, because I think we can just evaluate, give a general evaluation, not too many fireworks on the Magnus board, Sahaj, but let's get a quick update from Vishy on that.
My instant impression is White is just better. Maybe not much, but it's harder to make a fast move with Black than it is to make a quick move with White. White can just make some move like King G2 or something, and nothing really spoiled. For me, even King F8 feels risky, and you want to go back, and well, he has gone back. But then White is just pushing on the king side. If Black takes, then King G2 Rook H1 potentially. It's just easy. First of all, it's a lot easier for White to play.
And that's actually accounts for a lot in this format.
Correct. In Blitz, you want positions where it's just easier to play for you. Okay, he's managed to score on knight c4.
So the knights will get traded.
Yeah. With delight.
Is he going to take? He takes with the rook.
Apparently, there was some difference between f2 and g2. I have no idea why that is.
Okay.
Queen d7.
So he has control of the only open file, and not the only, but the e file, a very important one. He can bring the queen back to e3 and try to put some pressure on that. Is it still slightly better for White?
I would assume so. Though if queen e3, maybe king f8, and then try to play rook e8. But okay, White is advancing king g3.
I think rook e8 is incoming probably in the next move, or do I have some problems in the end game?
Yes, that's what Magnus seems to be blitzing towards.
But this is now this should probably end in a draw, no? Because Black's king. You probably have to calculate a little bit, king pawn end games.
Yes.
But it feels.
King e5.
King e7.
Yes.
I think we're going to see all of it being played out.
And then a4.
Let's stick with our live board
Oh,
because it's happening. And now
But the thing is, at the end, does White have any spare moves left?
Yes. So you
So
have.
Black should play a6 and b5.
Yes. He's doing that just as you say it.
So b5 now.
You will have the f pawn moving forward, but when he goes f4.
I don't think you. Well, he's allowing c4 because he's claiming that he can take twice and play b5.
And maybe be the one who's putting pressure then.
Silently claiming, of course. But so Magnus trying to make as many useful moves as possible.
Oh, before he takes the decision to break with c4.
So he's coming back to g4, and that looks doesn't look like a.
What's the reason to get that king from that really active square? What's his plan? He wants to push the f pawn.
Okay, king f4 maybe. I think he's
But now this is getting interesting because after king f4, if Black plays f6, he's gone to h5.
So
King e7. There isn't a breakthrough yet. But let's say king g4, king d6, king f4.
so we can. He first improves a little bit more on the king side before deciding.
No, but by playing
on the queen
a5,
side.
he's
Yes.
handed the move to Wesley again.
To make a decision, and Wesley just goes back with the king. So he's
Yeah.
following Magnus's king. You go on the right, I go on the right.
Sure.
And
No, in
yeah.
fact, there was no way, and Wesley quickly saw this. So
Yes. So a save by Wesley, which means if Pragg wins, he catches up with Magnus. Let's go to that because he's playing on his final seconds. Wow, the bar says it's equal, but I feel like white was about to get checkmated, but a queen trade we're going to see. What is happening here? Or is it just going to be repeated?
Yeah, I think they just repeated the moves, and Pragg also draws, so Magnus maintains his lead for now. Tara, there is one more game. Oh, I think
Arjun's.
it's already finished between. I was going to go look at Dubov versus Nihal, but let's look at Arjun's board. Okay, he is an extra pawn up. So
Yeah, so in fact at the end Black had to check the piece and it's still a pawn down, so Arjun is winning.
All right, let's go in with our women board because action's on.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yes.
Bishop d5, but now I play h4. He had to play h4 maybe. Now this is a draw. So he had to play h4 and he missed that moment while it was happening very fast. Valentina beating Divya, that's right.
Yes, let's go to that because it's quite important for our standings in the women's section. Dhono has drawn her game. Valentina is a point behind her right now. So Vincent versus Arjun will end in a draw.
Yeah, Vantika defeated Goryachkina with the black pieces. That's a very, very big win
Huge
for Vantika.
result.
And let's actually check out the remaining games. 1 second.
Divya versus Valentina, Saj.
There we have it. Oh, this is over.
Is it? Oh, I thought there was a complete blind spot. Missed the rook on a1. Oh, that's just an extra piece. So
Yes.
This is just over. And any other games? No other games. Oh, yeah, this is the last game remaining from this round.
And I think it just wrapped up as well with Valentina taking the win. As our boards are getting updated.
Yep. There we have it. Valentina wins, and with that, she gets the second spot with only half a point behind Katrina Lagno.
She was on the second spot from the start, but exactly, she's bridged that gap and others have caught up as well. So once again, the women's section is opening up. Now we've got some more time to look at things calmly. Where should we start, Anand? Which game should we begin with?
Okay, Vidit lost to Nodirbek. I didn't quite get to see that. Okay.
With it lost to Nodirbek. Okay, so let's take a look at that. There we have it. Maybe we can go from the beginning, or do you want to go from here somewhere?
Yeah, somewhere about here would be nice. How
Yeah.
did... looks fairly pleasant for white. So black going in for the... and then white has to give up a pawn, okay.
Okay.
And probably has got enough compensation anyway, but then this worked out very badly.
Oh, and so this ended in a Vidit loss. That's his third loss in a row?
Has he lost all three today?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, he started the day with that crazy game against Pragg, blunder and then a counter blunder. And then I think he lost the next one.
Yeah.
And so this ended... Saj, just go through the whole game and how did it finish?
So bishop e2, rook a2, bishop f3, and he has to find f4 break, which is very unlikely now. And now this is just a pawn down. I don't think there is much here. This was a clean game,
just
I think.
queens.
Yeah, it's a clean game by Nodirbek, I feel.
Whoa.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, because he's after queen d1, he's going to interpolate knight e4 check, and
That's
then
what
two pawns
happened.
Up, yeah.
The bishop's overloaded and Nodirbek takes the win. So a bit of a blow to Vidit for at the start of the day where he was in the standings. Sahaj, where next? Which other game? We were not able to catch up much on the Pragg board. A really important one for us.
Okay, let's just show
Sure.
one interesting thing with Arjun, because he did
Let's
play a
do
good
it.
game. He played a very good game, and
Yeah,
then
for a moment, sir.
well, we'll go at the end. Yeah, hang on. So this position, black grabbed what he thought was a chance to exchange rooks, and if white plays h4, then you can't stop the bishop. You can play king g7 to stop the bishop collecting the h5 pawn. But then I can go here. It's an interesting question if it is, it is probably winning. But I'll do this, you come here, I give a check, then I do that. Basically black tries to stop me playing f4. It's a difficult ending. I mean, on the surface it looks winning, but
You can't stop f4 forever, right? White's king will go to e4 and you will get f4.
but then I might come around on the back and take on h4, but yeah, probably that's the way it has to go.
So bishop d somewhere, bishop c2. Ah, it's black's move. So I go
Let's
here.
make a move. No, yeah. Ooh,
That's
wow.
winning already.
That's
wow.
winning. I don't know why. Because of this?
Oh, nice. Yeah, bishop e8. So you'll have to go.
No, king f7. That's what I didn't
So
understand.
king f3.
But
Let's
there was
go.
apparently something stronger, but I'm wondering what that might be. Is it bishop f3? Is it king f3? Yes, king f3 holds the advantage. I wanted to come around to e1. Then I think bishop c6, king f7, and
King e4, bishop e1.
yeah, and then just f4.
And how do you evaluate this position after bishop takes pawn?
No, f4 is dropping a lot.
Maybe king e3, so?
Yes. So I go again.
Then f4.
But then I come back for the pawn.
Wow,
And maybe this is the win.
a move matters.
Something like this, yeah.
Very
It was I mean, this has to be done for it to happen in Blitz is quite tricky. But anyway, that would have been better than bishop d5 because black got in h4 and simply managed to
You win
force
the
the
g4
pawn into a dark square, into a light square, and then black is able to.
to hold this without trouble. So this one ended in a draw. Should we bring up our standings? And because I think we'll have live action soon. Before we, and said maybe you can see if there's another game we want to look at. But this is where we are going into the next round.
Dubov has
round
improved a
13.
lot, so he's
Yes. He's just half a point behind Magnus now. So we've got Magnus at top and then half a point behind two players this time, Pragg and Daniel. So the fight is really on. And then Arjun at 7.5. But then we've got a huge margin.
Correct.
Is this a 4-horse race?
It seems to be. I mean, 2 points with 6 rounds of the Blitz left.
Yes.
So it definitely looks like a 4-horse race.
Wesley at 5.5, but it feels too far behind. So it really comes down to these 4 players and the shuffling on we'll see in the next one. And we've got Magnus versus Nodirbek. That's going to be a fun fight as well to watch. Let's bring up our women's standing going into round 13. Lano still at the top, but look at that, Sahaj. The margin is very similar to how we started the day, with these 3 players. Well, actually, Vantika has really picked up her pace and gone to 3rd place, but now it's just a half-point difference. Now, Vantika is having a fantastic event.
Yeah, she has scored 2.5 out of 3 in the last 3 rounds. I mean, she's defeated. No, I think I'm mistaken there. She scored. Yeah, she's defeated Vaishali, drawn to Kosteniuk, and defeated Goryachkina, the winner of the rapid section. So she's having a great tournament indeed.
Anand, so many of these youngsters, well, I want to say almost all of them, are part of WACA. And that must be a very special feeling to see them perform across tournaments, across format, the kind of chess that they're showing.
Yes, definitely. A lot of them were in the Olympiad team, of course. And no, it's very nice to work with them and be part of their journey.
And are you actively as well involved in the academy, the Westbridge Anand Chess Academy, and you get to spend time with the players?
Yes, I interact with them quite a lot. I also discuss with the coaches what's happening and so on. So.
That's super. I mean, last time, just for everyone, we were at Tata Steel Chess India and I checked, how do you apply to WACA? How do you get in? Turns out I'm too late to that party, but the players are performing incredibly well here. Anand, we've got action coming on, and I want to ask you, which of the pairings are you most excited to see in the Open first?
Well, Nodirbek against Magnus is going to be interesting because I think even though Nodirbek's not in good shape, there's pride on the line there. So he'll definitely be very motivated to do well, maybe even ambush Magnus. Nihal-Arjun, okay. 2 people who know each other front to back.
2 very good friends, and also Pragg versus Wesley. It's going to be a fun one. Very important for our standings. And as you mentioned about Nodirbek, he's struggling in the event, but the one biggest way to find your confidence and to turn that switch back on is to get a good result against Magnus.
Correct.
Absolutely. And Nodirbek, of course, definitely needs that. How many points is he on? He's on 7 Sorry, he's on 5 points. Yeah, he's definitely not in the.
Yeah, he's 3.5 points behind Magnus, but he'll want to play a good game just to feel good.
And same question on the women board. Which one catches your attention here?
Okay, by now we have to follow Vantika.
Yes.
See how she's doing. She's playing Zagnitse, who's having a terrible tournament. Gunina plays Vaishali and Lagno plays Goryachkina.
That's
so
really
all those are kind of
yeah.
interesting pairings. Lagno Goryachkina is the pairings with the two players are doing the best.
Yes.
But yeah, obviously you follow everybody in the chasing pack.
Yes. And one girl in the chasing pack is right in front of us. Look at that focus. She's going to be playing against Nana with the white pieces. She knows that Nana is having a tough day. And no matter how strong a player is in this format, if you're not scoring, you become a target.
Yeah, absolutely right. And she's playing Vantika actually now with the black pieces. So, what do you think about that, Tanya?
That's exactly what we're saying. Like we have them in front of us, Sahaj, and it's go time right now. We'll quickly bring up the women board bird's eye view right now. We've got that. So mostly queen spawn opening and the king spawn opening. E4 and D4.
Yes. Valentina against Vaishali, it's some sort of Bogo Indian, which has again become a Nimzo Indian. There's a queen on E7. Nobody knows.
You know, we talk about Arjun's offbeat openings and how he's playing all kinds of things. Is there a women player equal of that, just bringing in all these unlimited opening surprises? Who would that be in this field?
Actually, most of the women have fairly classical, almost serious repertoires. They
Don't deviate too much.
They don't go for these wild flights of fancy.
That's true. And that's why we see standard opening
Okay,
all
but we're going to
across.
get Goryachkina is going to, decided to, well, this is a known line.
Goryachkina's game.
Okay, you've got to tell us about this line, this knight f6 last move, especially what happened there, because let's
Yeah.
look at that. If we just go back one move.
So you have a choice between knight e6 and b6. The thing with b6 is it allows this check. So white wastes two moves just to make sure the black can't castle. As you can see, it's no disaster. Black can play king g8, h6, king h7 anyway.
Artificial castling.
But then there is bishop g4. And the lines get funny. You go d3.
In this position, bishop g4.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can't do it like that. You'll have to enter it as a variation. And then this move is supposed to be bad because you take, you give check. I think this, you take here.
And this is all theory, Anand?
I'm afraid so.
This is crazy.
You do this check.
Whoa, and white is winning now? Oh my god.
No,
I
so
see
in
what
fact
you
you just abandon the queen on d8. You do that. And it's supposed to be okay. But if you go queen d7, then I go check. You capture, then I go check. You have to take, you take. And even though white's a piece down, what white is claiming is that that black king actually means that black is a rook down. That rook on h8 is never going to join the party.
Love it.
But I don't think that's what she played.
We had
bishop g4.
Yeah, bishop g4 is on the board, I think.
Yeah, so h3, bishop f3, queen f3.
Yes.
Okay. So not quite permitting this nice line.
would have been fun to watch, but we didn't get that. But that was amazing.
It may just be
line.
that this move is supposed to equalize or something. But even here, I think they do knight takes c5.
And still
What?
continues.
And you
Knight
play a
e7.
piece down. And you play this a piece down because black is supposed to be a rook down.
Yeah,
and
and
so
the
on.
king back rank ideas. But none of this happened, but still an exciting fight on. We will check in with this. Let's go over to our men's section, Sahaj, and bring up our bird's eye view to get a quick overview while Vishy chooses the game he wants to go to first. So on the top left, we've got Dubov, who's really gotten up on the
Wesley's
standings. Yes.
done some interesting stuff here.
So Wesley against Pragg. Let's check in with that.
Yeah, Pragg on second place, or sharing second place with Dubov. So it's a very, very important match.
So Magnus, Pragg and Dubov, these are the three games that we're going to be mostly focusing on.
Yeah, and then I mean Arjun is like right 1 point behind, but he's also in the contention.
So let's bring up our analysis board for Pragg.
For Pragg, I'm gonna have it over the board now. There we have it. Knight g4. Pragg does not look very comfortable, sir.
The position doesn't look very comfortable because suddenly you're getting kicked around a lot. You'd either lose d5 or you take on f4, after which there's a lot of pressure from e1, from b2. It
Looks
frankly, black looks in trouble, doesn't it?
and also there's a 1 minute difference between the two players. Definitely does not look ideal for the black pieces here. Knight takes g4, queen takes g4. Some pressure on the g7 pawn.
Yeah, and basically he's saying knight e6, f e6, I don't care, but knight h5 might be very strong.
So knight h5 comes with a huge threat on g7. Is he? How's he defending?
And a bishop f6 threat.
Yes. Or a knight f6 if you go back
Bishop
queen f8.
f6 is nice because I was thinking knight f6, but the bishop f6 is really nice.
So
Yeah,
knight
how?
h5 here.
What are you playing?
Did he
tonight?
play it?
No, he went for rook d1. So d5. He's putting pressure on d5.
Apparently that was a big miss from Wesley. Bishop f4. Sir, is that an easy decision? Bishop takes f4.
I would do
Well,
it.
then the question is why he didn't do it in the previous move.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm thinking something like d4, just to just take the pawn and just leave me alone. But
Knight h5 again. I mean, I see knight h5. I want to get rid of that knight. And you can't take it with the knight because queen takes pawn would be checkmate.
This was
in
kind of
one.
interesting. I'm curious why was bishop f4 not an option? Oh, that
It was
an
the
option.
best
it
move.
was an option.
But after e4, what is black supposed to do?
So f5 is your big.
Oh, d2. Because if f5, then I take and I get out of it with queen b7 check. So that's what black had to do. And then
When you're out of the pin and you just simply move
white
the
gave
knight.
another option. So now the question is what's happening for bishop f4, ef4, d4. Also looks
Takes
decent.
f5 maybe, or f5 straight away. But there's not a big difference, no, with the rook on c1 and the rook on d1.
Yeah, it's about the same, right?
But he decided to go c4 in that position instead, and I think we're getting moves in.
Oh, wow, he went bc4, so he also didn't see the idea of knight h5.
They don't care about knight h5. Neither does Pragg care about knight h5.
But knight h5, then the Pragg's idea was
C3,
c3.
yes.
But maybe the computer would have just taken the pawn on d5. Maybe that was the best move.
And now it's pinned, so you can't take the pawn on d5. Has he made a decision?
Was this the move? Yes. So
That is the move, yeah.
c4 was just a bluff, but a blitz
Worked
bluff.
out. So okay, bishop d5, rook d5 is already, what? Rook d5? Dale, look at this move, bishop d5, rook takes d5. Pragg is now winning.
Yeah, because
no,
can't you
better.
take knight takes rook, or does he? What does he want after knight takes rook now?
Just
Is this a live board edge?
Yeah, this is the live board. Rook d5, bishop f4, rook d1 is on the board.
Okay,
this is the
this
live
is
board.
what we have.
But Pragg seems to be doing really good here.
Yeah, h5 is thrown in.
And we're not going to move to it, but just a quick
No, but what is he
update
doing? Why
that-
did he give up the rook with knight g5? He got excited.
Wait, isn't there some knight and bishop ideas against the white king, and he just takes it, knight f3 check. The king has to step to f1, and Wesley's king is running away. And he's got, what is that material count? He's got a lot of rooks on the board.
At queen g5, I think he's losing a lot of material here.
It's
even.
two rooks for a minor
d8,
piece.
yeah.
Yeah, I think this must be, with some mistake in the time pressure.
Yeah, Pragg, I think, just went.
Please let's have our board at this moment. We need to see the board on top. And there we missed out on those last few moves, but we'll get them. We'll probably do a deeper dive into that in a bit. But let's quickly head over to Daniel Dubov right now because he's also really up in the standings. What do we make of the action on this one?
Daniel Dubov's game, I am having it up on the board right now. There we have it. Okay, we take the pawn on h6. So is this?
It's just a draw.
Just a draw.
Rook e4 is a good enough draw.
Yeah, f5. He doesn't give him any chances there.
So this one about to finish in a draw, and I think they're just liquidating into that.
Arjun beat Nihal apparently.
Yes, we'll have a look at that at the end of everything. Can we go to Vantika's board really quickly?
Vantika's board is here.
Wait,
Oh wow,
Vantika moved her king?
that's a checkmate, no?
Yes.
What?
And let's have our players on the camera as well, Vantika and Nana as, is this just over?
It's just a mate in one. Yeah,
Well, it's a
there's-
mate in one,
that's
the
just
only
over.
game remaining is between Divya and Humpy. Should we hop on to that?
Yes.
Okay, so there we have it. Humpy in a completely winning position. F3 pawn is gone. Yeah, this is.
This is over. Yeah?
She's a piece up. Oh, I thought there was an extra bishop for some reason.
And now rook h4 is a good
Yeah,
good place to
just-
start,
just
and then
to
that's the end of the world.
guard the whole thing. So there is a rook h2 check. Very nicely. Done.
So just defending the king, and then the extra rook will tell.
Okay, now just
Yeah, now it's white's king that's going to be checkmated.
that is the last board on the thing, and
Queen h7 check, swap the queens.
yeah,
Yes.
that's
Professionally, don't look for the checkmate. Get the queens
Yeah.
off the board and do it the professional way. Yeah, with their, Divya continues to try and fight this position, but
What are the times? 20 seconds. Okay, that is kind of.
yeah, with the 2-second increment, you can also build on time in these positions. So clock will not be a factor for Humpy, and Divya resigns. So Humpy getting the dub there. And that means they're still Vidit playing. Vidit is still fighting.
Not really, but
I can see him on the screen. Yes. Well, just as
this
we move
game
in.
is right there. Oh, that's not looking very
Oh.
nice for Vidit. Oh, are we going to see a bishop and knight endgame?
no, we're not.
Oh, that would have been nice.
Yeah, and I think Vidit just resigned after that last move, forcing
Sure.
the black bishop away from defense, and that e-pawn will queen next. So Vidit doesn't, Vincent doesn't have to prove the bishop and knight versus king. This was the final game. And now once again, we've got time to look at some action more deeply. So
So, should we take a quick look at Nihal versus Arjun? Because Arjun
Yes.
had a really nice game.
let's do that. Great point.
Um,
Anand, take us through that game.
Oh, the Nims of Larsen.
it's a mainstream theory until this point.
Yes, this is a reversed Grunfeld, isn't it? When queen on d2, pawn on c3, d4, maybe, yeah.
Oh, I see what you
You see
mean.
it? I'm still trying to see
I'm
it in my
still
head. I
trying to-
don't.
yeah, this 1 second
Now
to
this-
figure it out.
Well, just try to flip the colors. It's it would be what e4, d4, a4,
Yes. This
and
does.
black has
but
got b6, a7 thing. Anyway,
Yeah,
yes, it
this
is a
looks
reverse
familiar.
Grunfeld.
It
Just
is,
explain
it
to
is.
the audience that this is not an easy thing to figure out, even after you know it's there.
Yeah, Anand figured it out about 20 years ago. It took us.
No, but I enjoy trying. Okay, so Nihal clearly outplayed Arjun. Sacked the exchange.
But now this dark square
Could have gone
diagonal.
bishop c4. Bishop c4 was simply very strong.
Because you don't have queen c6. Right. So queen.
So you have to go to some.
E7 and
But then I have knight b6, which is
And then knight
knight
d5.
d5 and so on.
knight
yes,
d5,
I think he wanted the same thing, but just wanted the rook in front of the bishop.
Bishop c4 here would have been strong. Rook c7, bishop takes c6.
Oh, rook
Oh,
c1.
rook c1, yeah.
Oh, but sir, I think he could have done that in the next move because often he played knight c5 here. Yeah, rook c7, bishop e6, and rook
And
c1.
this move surprisingly
Yeah.
holds
Let's just
the
show
line,
that
yeah.
queen c1, knight e2 for
Nice.
everyone to enjoy.
Nicely spotted, Tanya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one I enjoyed more than the reverse Grunfeld.
So you went knight c5, queen d5 is a blunder.
Now bishop c4 was possible because there is no rook c. Okay, he does play it. Okay. Bishop d4. Bishop e6 still there is rook c1, yeah? That's once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, in these positions, maybe it's better to get out of the queen king, but black is also playing knight f5. So maybe here it would have been better to play bishop b5. There is no rook c1 because the bishop is alive.
Yes.
There's no
So
knight
I could have
e2 check.
gone this,
So you defend the e2 square and rook d8 would have to be played.
and then I don't know if this is good to punch into h4.
Can you try to? I'm looking at bishop d7, but maybe this doesn't make sense.
Still trying to make that
I
work.
want to. I'm okay to give the rook as well, but I don't think you'll go bishop c4.
Actually, I might go bishop a6.
Oh yeah, it's just nothing works, and then I'm losing the house.
Then I'll take h4, yeah. So Nihal took on a5. Oh, he just blundered into this.
Oh, that's a checkmate.
Oh, that's amazing.
This is a draw apparently.
How do you make that happen? Because how are you fighting rook c1? Rook c1 is a big
Does
threat
it want
here.
to do something uglier like queen a3 or?
But anyway, rook c1?
Maybe then it's a draw.
Whoa. Yeah, because I don't even see an alternate. Or is it king f2?
But then you get into rook versus minor. I mean, two rooks and
Oh yeah,
knight.
this is just gone.
Maybe it is queen a3.
Can
But
we
even
s-
then, rook c2 looks strong. It doesn't look. It can't be queen d2, can it?
Queen
No,
d2.
queen d2, rook c2.
So is the rook c1 check still, I think, in that position after queen d2?
No, my point is that this doesn't help.
And that is the path, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So this is what we're looking at, knight e2, king f2, and you're saying that
I'll
white.
keep that pawn alive, and I'll try to liquidate this pawn, and so on. But queen a3, but I don't even see a defense for rook c2. What are you going to do? King h2 or something?
And now I go rook to e.
But how are you improving? Because there's back rank stuff. Okay, you'll go king h7 next. So maybe put the queen.
a6, and I dislodge that rook somehow. Yeah,
Yes.
something like this seems.
Because I can't play rook c2 here, right?
Yeah.
Very nice. And then, so he just resigned after, so that was just a blunder, and then.
Yeah, and well, it's just mate. So.
Said maybe you can just show the checkmate how, just bishop takes rook, and wherever you go.
King goes here, then we have rook f1 checkmate, and king h2, we have rook h1 checkmate, and this is over. Just a big slip up there by Nihal. But of course, it's a very difficult thing. Anything else that strikes you, Danya?
Can we take a look at the Pragg versus Wesley board? Because we caught most of the action on the Magnus board, and we know that ended in a draw.
I think we were on this position where he took rook d5. Yeah, Pragg was completely, not winning, but clearly better here, no? Takes, bishop f4, rook d1. So, what do you think here happened? Queen e2 here? Okay, yeah,
knight
we saw
g5,
this.
yeah.
Yes, we saw this. We saw this. You remember the king went to c1, but we can show it anyway. So, knight g5, you were saying that he
Yeah.
dropped the rook over here.
What does it want him to do? Rook e4 or queen c7? Queen c7 seems to hold the advantage.
You want to go queen c6 and
And if
combining
this,
it
then
with rook
queen
c2.
c6, f3, rook c2, right?
She said like intuitive feeling always is always right, you know.
Well, queen
wherever-
c7, c6.
It's just wherever the hand goes, it's good.
That's why we never need the engine on when he's here. So queen c6, and now you don't have time to go rook d2 because f3 will be hanging
Correct.
at the end of the line. All right, so Pragg lost, which means Magnus now increases his lead. Magnus drew his game. In the women's section, it was
But
Lana.
Arjun has replaced Pragg at the top.
Arjun and Dubov, both of them.
I think
are
we have the standings ready. Let's bring them up and just discuss the situation that we've got, because it's still pretty hotly contested.
It's between 4 players yet again, but the 5th player is. I think that bridge is even wider. It was 2 points earlier, now it's 2.5.
Wow, and Vidit, he hasn't scored yet.
No, he's had. I think it's the 4th round, right?
Yes.
4 rounds have finished. So I think he's on 0 if I'm not mistaken. He started with 5 points here.
So it's still a 4-horse race, and we can see the
Vidit
top 4.
has lost
4 in a row, yes.
4 in a row. Wow.
It's because of this game, and he was completely winning with the piece up, and I think from that point.
Oh,
he
yeah,
just, he just didn't. Have you seen the game?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was a, I think, very very difficult thing.
And that happened to Pragg yesterday, right? He started with such a lost 3 in a row, and then won 6
6
in a row.
yeah.
So something switched up there. Right now, these are our standings. We've still got 5 games remaining.
Yeah.
And Magnus at top, half a point lead, but right behind him, Arjun and Daniel, and then Pragg at 8. It's a field wide open. The margin's just half a point for these players. Let's bring up our standings for the women.
There we have it. Katrina Lagno. Slight change there. Now it's a shared lead between Lagno and Gunina, and the third player already. You see, there's a 1.5 point difference there.
And Saj, I'm just thinking at the start of the day, Anand, there was a point difference between first and second and third. And Sahaj was saying, this is going to be a difficult catch up to do, but this is what Blitz does.
Yes.
We're at the halfway mark, and suddenly we've got 2 leaders.
Correct, and that extremely unfortunate finish for Vantika.
But
Yeah.
I'd like to pick your brain here, because you've played so many of these events. Is 1.5 points a lot of points when it comes when there's only 5 runs remaining in the Blitz, or what is your opinion on that?
It is a nice cushion, but one defeat puts your. Imagine losing to one of the 3 and 4 players. What are the pairings now? Anyway, we'll see. But the point is, the gap can suddenly narrow to a half.
I can see one pairing, Arjun versus Daniel there.
I would rather have the lead than not, but it's not such a big thing.
So just to say, the Vantika is supposed to play Lagno and Valentina, with the black pieces. But
so that's a big one.
Maybe that's not the most fortunate pairing. But and Humpy G. So we have left off.
We do, and it's Magnus versus Vincent, and another big clash between Pragg on his board that we saw against Nodirbek Abdusattorov. A lot of exciting matches. I think we'll be focusing on the leaders on this one. Let's bring up our bird's eye view to get an overview of all the openings that we've seen. Which one looks the most exciting to you?
Magnus is really thinking. I think it'll be interesting to see what about him. But he seems to be really thinking which minor scheme in the reti can I go for. So he's gone for castles. He's allowing e5. So he'll then play e4 maybe.
And that's the top right board. Magnus to make a decision. If he allows, black wants to push this e pawn even further, and then the d pawn up the board. So
e4.
he does.
So he did go
He does
e4.
it.
And he's going for this d3 and then either knight f d2 and f4 or knight h4. A couple of plans there.
An interesting imbalance in Pragg's board right now. That's the top center board that we had earlier on. But okay, we can, maybe just a quick update on this. Because he's given up his bishop pair, Nodirbek.
Yeah, but he's taken away a central pawn. By playing a5, he's saying that white doesn't have very much.
Also maybe
White could be looking for maybe c3, b4, trying to advance that queenside pawn maybe. I don't know. Okay, what else is happening? SL against Wesley looks equalish.
maybe a quick look.
What is happening on the Arjun Daniel board?
Yeah, exactly. That's
Whoa, bishop takes pawn. Is that a piece sacrifice? No, there's the e file. Okay, let's jump into that. Saj, maybe back up a couple of moves because this is already.
This is a piece sacrifice, no?
If you take with the pawn, I thought knight takes. Okay, it's crazy. Let's see. I thought knight takes d4, maybe some ideas of knight f3 and stuff.
So no, bishop takes f6.
Let's see it. Let's
So
see it.
queen c2 happened here. h6, bishop h4, clear qgd, a5, knight a6, and I think f4 he played g4.
Yes,
f4,
and now just bishop f4.
and now bishop f4. Some crazy
Did
stuff
Arjun take on
happened.
f6?
So Dubov has not thought until this point. He was on 3 minutes and 2 seconds.
Arjun going bishop h7, using the fact that the knight is pinned. But now I go king h8, and then what does he want?
King should only move. Maybe I go ef4.
Okay, first of all I can play g5 and I get my piece back.
So we have this on the board.
But he'll take on d4, that's for sure, yeah.
Yes.
Now queen d3, knight e2, g5.
g5 to release the pin from the knight and you take away the bishop.
And Saj, we
Did he
in
play
live
G5?
board.
Yes,
Yes,
he played
G5 is on
G5.
the board. So we can stick to the live board because they're playing exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
fg5, knight h7, and then he'll go for some rook f1.
Okay.
Queen h7, king h7, g6 is cute, but it
Whoa.
loses. But it loses.
It's nice.
Yeah, too many pawns in the end of that line.
Oh, the computer even wants to castle. That is very nice.
Surprisingly, Arjun is close to winning here. I don't see why.
Wow, castles then.
Yeah. castles.
liberating the thing. I mean, I tried rook f1, but then castles is a bit stronger.
So rook takes pawn is your big threat, as is g6 ideas in some positions. But I need to defend f7. So what happens after bishop e6? To me, that looks like the natural move. We've got moves.
By the way, Arjun has played short castle in this position. The best
Whoa,
move.
he finds it. So bishop e6.
Oh, then queen d4 check, king g8, and g takes h6. That's why not rook f1, but castles, because queen takes h4 should not be check.
1 second, 1 second, 1 second.
Yeah. So bishop e6, it's not. What about rook hedge e5, rook f7, rook e4, but maybe queen c3 check.
By the way, he has taken on g5 with the knight.
Okay.
Here we have it, knight takes a mistake according to the board at least. We have rook takes f7, or what's happening so here? Bishop takes g5 also looks interesting.
Yeah, let's go full screen on the players just for a moment and have our board up as well there. We can analyze. By the way, rook takes pawn, has it been played? Yes, it's been played.
I'm just going to go on the live boards, rook f7.
So you can't take the rook with the knight, the bishop pins the queen, and bishop takes knight is the big threat. So you have to stop this checkmate. What's the move here, Anand?
Queen b6, bishop f2. Oh, I don't see a follow-up.
I think he is busted, yeah?
How is Daniel even going to keep this game going?
Okay, queen b6 check,
Queen b6 check,
bishop f2, c5.
See, oh, you were preventing me to play bishop d4 check. Very
Correct.
But queen c3,
d4.
knight d4.
Oh, d4 and then you take with the knight.
And if I take on f7, you discover and go queen g7. Very
I'm
nice.
hoping I'll have something.
Very nice, Tanya.
You help
Yeah.
me.
Very nice.
Okay, so he plays.
No, but wait, then at the end I play knight e4.
So-
Let's do that again.
Okay, just.
Oh, I see.
He's gone rook e4.
Yeah,
Okay.
should we check that line?
Wait, he played
Oh, there's been a big blunder, by the way.
rook f1 was a mistake here.
Arjun has messed up his advantage, Anand.
Oh,
Bishop g4 is cute. So what was the win here?
Bishop f2, sir, I think. Then you have bishop d4 check always. And some rook
But
g7.
knight takes f7, no?
Oh, good point.
So queen c3, d4, no. Rook f1 was tempting. What is the move? Knight g3 or something? No,
C3.
knight c3. Maybe knight c3, but
But we have a lot of moves on. Should
yes,
we
knight
stay?
c3 keeps the advantage, but I don't see why actually. So
So rook e4, Sahaj, rook f1 was a big miss, and Daniel finds the resource.
He plays bishop to g3 now, and the position is actually in Dubov's favor. Knight f7 looks tempting.
Just a quick update, Vidit has won his first game of the day. He defeats Nihal Serene.
Vincent Magnus is going to be a draw.
We won't go to that. It's a very balanced endgame. So let's stick to this for now.
Nodirbek is pressing slightly against Pragg. Vidit has beaten Nihal.
We're seeing this position. Can Arjun? How does he continue? Because there's still a lot of threats. Both kings unsafe right now. I don't know who's who here. It's rook versus two minor pieces.
I'm still trying to figure out who's playing for a win.
Yeah, but I would want to be white here.
Yeah,
I
I
see the
don't
bar,
wanna
but
be-
I would want to be white.
Simply because white was completely winning, and then he knew he was completely winning. I wouldn't want to be in that state of mind.
Okay, I can play something like queen g6 and ask you what you're doing.
I was hoping you wouldn't.
He's gone queen g6.
Arjun will answer for us.
There we have it, queen g6 on the board.
Because of queen c3, I can play d4.
So apparently, sir, queen g3 check is the only
And
move.
then I think you want to go queen c4 or queen f3. Maybe.
He's gone to f3 right away.
Blunder. That's a
Oh
blunder.
my gosh, she's missed. What?
No, he's gone to the other square.
Okay.
But that wasn't it.
Oh, there was rook e2 check.
No, but then queen e2.
Queen
rook-
h5.
Oh, that was it. Okay, okay.
was
So he missed a win.
We'll show that at the end. Beautiful line there, Sahaj. Okay, now the moves are coming in fast and quick.
Now Arjun is winning.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, but white's king, it looks so unsafe. But the knight, once it's back to defend, you're feeling a lot safer. Is Arjun about to give checkmate?
Queen d1 check. No, it might be a draw. But he'll blockade with the bishop.
Okay, queen h5 check,
Yeah.
bishop f4,
Queen g6.
queen g6, bishop g3, okay. Oh, is that a repetition? That's the...
But they both want to win.
No surprises from Arjun's side with Daniel as well. And this position is a game for all three results still with the kings in the open, and now Arjun's advantage is back on.
What is he doing?
This has to, I mean, just hide. How do you hide your king? He doesn't bring the bishop to defense. Oof. They're playing with 1 second on the clock.
The bar is also just doing this dance. Is it king h4 happening, I think, after king g3?
Yeah, now it's over. King f1 and it resigns.
Oh.
Finally, Arjun's king is safe. And it's Arjun who's threatening the checkmate, and it's resigns. What a topsy-turvy game this was. I think
Yeah.
this has to, we have to dive into this when we have the time, because so much
Arjun
was
has caught
happening.
up with Magnus.
He has, because Magnus drew and Arjun was half a point behind. So Arjun and Magnus head to head for the race right now.
Yeah.
But what a win this was. And I think because we're still reeling in for this, should we just slow down and do a slow action replay of what we just saw in the final
Sure.
few moments? Anand, please take us through all the tactics.
Absolutely. I'm just going to put it up on the board right now.
It just went over my head. At some point, I was like,
Here
sit
goes
back
that.
and enjoy
I
the
feel
players.
like we have, we have the time. Let's go through it from the, yeah.
Okay, this is general queen's gamut decline. Bishop h7 is a nice.
There's nothing general about this position.
No, this is theory. This is theory. This is like, this is the reverse King's Indian. This is reverse Dana.
I wonder, was knight f4 possible? It's a decent move. So he took on d4, but this is also absolutely fine, it seems. g5 is a mistake, so what does it want him to do? g6.
Allowing bishop takes.
Oh, not rook e2.
Or is it?
I'm thinking there is no need to play g5 because the bishop on h7 is kind of trapped, so you can kind of wait a move.
Okay, that wasn't it.
Is it queen
What does he
d6?
want? b6
Yeah, just
maybe.
queen
Oh,
d6.
b6.
b6.
Oh, b6.
Oh, that's beautiful.
B6.
And there's a bishop a6.
You know,
Poke.
yes.
There's a gentle poke coming there.
Very gentle but very strong, and these are the kind of moves that are so easy to miss because it's a slow little move.
Yeah, but then if I go queen c2, what is the poke?
Bishop a6 anyways.
Bishop
Or do I do
d3.
g5 now? By playing g5 now, I've improved matters apparently.
Yes, for sure, right?
Because when you castle, apparently I have something great. Maybe just rook a7 or something.
Oh my gosh, so b6 not only with bishop a6 but clearing a rank for the rook to join the defense.
No, but the problem is rook a7, there's still this queen c3 check. So it's got to be something else.
Also, the c6 pawn is a bit loose here, so. So I don't understand why not bishop a6 anyway, because that knight was a bit pinned. Ah, maybe
Bishop
bishop
d3.
d3.
Bishop d3 comes back.
You're right.
So what's the move here? Is it some quiet move like c5, rook takes f7?
Maybe I can go now.
I mean, I've jadubed your queen back to c2.
Is queen e7 an option here? I don't know if it helps.
Oh, that looks.
Because
good.
queen c5, I spotted a little idea with b6.
That's it. I know, that's it. Wow, nice.
Queen c3 check.
Just trying to see how b6 makes a difference.
King g8.
Yeah, of course, it's queen e7 check. That's the difference.
No, with
yeah.
queen c5,
No, it
c5
wasn't king
is
g8.
defended.
Oh, it's queen e5.
Oh, I see.
Apparently, this is reasonable for black.
It looks
But
extremely hard.
I mean,
Yeah.
b6 was
You don't-
easy to spot, but not queen e7, queen e5.
Maybe in classical, if you have time, b6, it doesn't even come into your mind, this move in
Yeah.
your blitz. So instead,
He played knight e2 and then he went g5.
So this happened, this lovely move castles, after which white is in fact doing very well. Rook e4, and knight c3 was the correct move, basically collecting material. He went rook f1, which is a blunder. And now black is doing very well. Queen g8 was a good move. Rook e8 was a good move. And white blundered, allowing this move. So Danny misses a clear way back.
if you move the king at the end, rook takes bishop was your
Correct.
idea.
So we'll just show that.
Yes, it's a beautiful line. And then you
if
win
I
the queen.
take queen, collects the queen.
Would have been a completely different result.
Now this is equal again.
Threatening h6. So you couldn't take the rook because of queen h. What's the point then?
If
Knight
you
takes
take, I
rook.
take, and then the only square you have is this. And I have
G1.
B1
Oh, you have
actually.
B1, yes. Another spot easy to miss. Completely forgot
So
about the
knight
B1
here.
square.
And then he went rook e6. I don't know if that was necessary. That's a mistake. What could he have done? Queen g5 or something?
Yeah,
Or
looks
maybe
good.
rook takes e2 check was working.
So king takes.
No. Queen takes g2. Queen h5 check. Sorry. King f1, queen d1 check, and queen f1. That seems to clinch it.
There's no repetition.
Yeah. So that's not a good move either.
So maybe just queen h5 check and then queen g5. That way I'm also attacking your bishop on g3.
Queen g5.
First queen h5 and then queen g5, because then your bishop on g3 is attacked. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Both seem to be slightly here there's actually a move which is leading to equality. I'm not able to find it.
Is there a difference in which rook you bring? No, rook
Maybe
e6
some
just
quiet
loses
move
to
like
queen
king
c8.
g8. I don't know.
Oh, wow. If that's the move, then
very-
I'm out of here.
That is
Okay,
the
bye.
move.
See you guys later.
See you, Tanya. Okay, so this happened. Queen c7 happened. Apparently, there are ways to win this. Queen h5. So then a few checks. Bishop goes to h4. Queen g6 was a mistake. Apparently, black can still play rook e7, and well, it's very much a game. Arjun comes back. Now, why not rook e2 actually? Might as well strengthen your thing, or rook e7 and try to swap queens. But I think the problem for Danny is he's half hoping he'll still win the game as well.
Yes.
And I think by now this is a 3-time repetition if they had bothered to claim. And now it's over because
But that's
there is just no. Okay,
also
so
an
that's-
understandable emotion by Danny. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't know what's happening here. It's anyone's game. So trying, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
So he takes, and now this is already. Oh, king h2. Actually, there was already. There was also a draw in this position.
Another miss here. So what was that? What did he play here?
He played queen h5 check, which is
The
not
most
the
natural move, but
Yeah.
not the right one.
Is this a draw? Apparently this is a draw, though I don't believe it.
What? Oh my gosh. And your
But
king.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, this is impossible to, unless you
Queen
sit and
g4,
calculate.
okay.
So queen g3, queen e4, queen e2. Okay, queen e2.
Yeah, and I'm just going to keep rotating on this diagonal or something.
Yes.
And when you try to run away, there must be some check that takes the rook.
I mean, these
Yeah.
positions are always a draw except when they're lost. I mean, that's the kind of,
one
the
way to
computer
put it.
sees it, but
Yes, computer see it instantly.
we've all been in the situation where we're going to run out of checks in 3 moves. Okay, that was a crazy game.
Complete roller coaster of a game, and we've got 4 rounds remaining going into round 16. Let's check in with our standings as we, for the first time in the Blitz, have got 2 players at the top
Also in the rapid, I think. First time.
in the Blitz.
Both, I think, in the open section, I think.
Yes, and there we have it. It's Arjun and Magnus at 9.5, and then a point difference with Daniel at 8.5. It's Pragnananda with 8. Wow, this is getting exciting. And let me just also see who Arjun and Magnus are playing in the next round. So Magnus is up against Nihal.
So there's going to be Arjun versus Magnus, yeah, in the penultimate
Yes, if you
round.
remember, it was the 8th round yesterday. So it'll
Yeah,
be
yeah,
the-
yeah. You're right. You're
Yes.
right, sir.
Today,
You're
yeah.
right. You're right.
That was that 20 move miniature.
Yeah.
It's Magnus is going to come back wanting revenge for that, so it's going to be a fun one. But before that, we've got a big round coming up where Pragg is playing Vincent. You've got Arjun versus SL. So Arjun with white, he will go all out in this one. Well, he always does, but really crucial point for him here. And Magnus versus Nihal.
Absolutely right.
Let's do the women's standings, Sahaj.
Let's do it. There we have it.
Same leading score, but only one person on it.
And another points margin. So we are back to the same story. with
Yeah.
Dhono leading from the start of the day, and she's caught up on her 1 point lead. And now you got Gunina at 8.5 and Vantika with 8. So for the players, for Gunina and Vantika, the next round is really critical. They have to score a point to try and catch up with Dhono.
Absolutely, and Vantika actually plays Harika and then she plays Gunina. That's going to be a very important match because it might decide the event. And who is Lagno playing? Lagno is playing. Wait, Lagno just played Vantika. Okay, so she plays Hampiji, Harika, and then Valentina. Yeah.
Lagno is going to play Vantika, right?
Is that Dubov meditating? I have never seen Dubov meditating.
Lagno is going to play Vantika.
Yeah, you're right. It's going to be Lagno versus Vantika. Number 1 versus number 3. Tanya.
Yes, I was still just looking at
Dubov
our
was
screen.
meditating?
Yes.
Was he playing against Vidit?
He is playing against Vidit. I don't think I've seen Dubov meditate at a tournament.
I don't think anyone meditate against Vidit.
Yes,
No,
and he
but
only did it specially for that.
Dubov did it
Dubov.
last time as well against Vidit, and now he's doing it again.
What happened in that game? I'm trying to remember.
don't
Said check in on that. Yeah, okay, he's right. But this time, oh my God, he's got a little smile on his face.
No,
I think he's doing Dubov things right
and
now.
when we were checking, both of them had the same pose. It was, let me at least take a look what happened in that game between Dubov and Vidit. Actually, it ended in a draw.
Meditation versus meditation, you've got to have a peaceful result at the end.
Yep. Okay, so I'm just going to pull up the games.
Yeah, I don't think I'm trying to remember. I've never seen Dubov like that. And this is a big one. What does Nihal have to do to get past here?
He'll play his quiet openings and then he'll but that also means that Nihal will not get into trouble in the straight out of the opening. They'll do something. Knight of 3, okay.
Knight of 3 on the board. If we can have the bird's eye view of the open section, so we can do a deep dive of each game. So, okay. Still early days, but what do you think?
So Arjun going for some Nimzo Benoni, if I can call it that.
So for this round, we're going to be focusing on Arjun versus SL and Magnus versus Nihal for the most part of it.
Yeah.
These are our two big games, and of course Daniel, he's a point behind Arjun, so we'll have our eye out on that one as well. The Arjun one's promising to be a fun one already.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got the H file open. You've got this
Vidit
Benoni
really
structure.
charging with G5 and probably H5.
Vidit did get his first win in the previous round, so maybe
Yeah.
he's now feeling the momentum, trying to get the momentum back. He's charging in with G5. Yes, this is, I think, that line where you push the G pawn and the H pawn. Do you want to get a quick look against Daniel? Because that's also an important game. And right now, the most fun one.
Yeah, we have knight takes G3 and H takes G3. This is the position on the board. Oh, G5,
H6,
wow.
okay.
Break this down because I'm thinking what's happening
Or
here.
one obvious plan for white is knight e2 G3.
Okay, the H5 square.
Yeah, beckons. I don't know if black can
route.
reply e5 at some point on the way.
Okay.
So maybe white will prepare this a bit more, but
No, he's gone for knight e2, by the way.
and he didn't play e5. Okay,
Queen d6 attacking the b2 pawn. Do I go queen
you would
d6?
just go knight g3. I mean, take the b2 pawn.
So no one cares about the b2 pawn. I have to ask because. Knight h5.
Just castles or knight h5. Castles.
This looks
I mean, in these time controls, the pawn is not worth very much. You
Yes.
you want to play. He's got a knight to h5. Vidit will probably play king f8 now, or he castled, and then something strong.
Yes, and this bishop and queen lining up on the light squares as well for white at some point. I do like pawn grabbing. I'm on team Yasser like that usually, but I think in this position,
Oh, bishop c2.
queen d3, no?
Preparing the battery with queen
Yes.
d3.
It looks very scary for Vidit right now. Should we check in on the other boards?
yeah,
Let's just watch this for
Sure,
a little bit.
we can do that, and then when
So he's gone queen a6 not to allow queen d3, but now I can just go bishop b1 if I want.
insisting.
Yeah, and then you can't stop it anymore.
he could have done it immediately also, right sir?
Yeah, but I think this one is crueler. I mean, black does have f5, so it's not the end of the world if the queen comes to this long diagonal. Okay, I think we should probably
Let's do it
go
now.
somewhere and come back.
Yeah, we'll come back to this. Vidit, under pressure. Magnus first or Arjun first?
I think Arjun SL looks interesting.
Let's do it.
Oh, E4, a slight mistake by Arjun. Not sure why.
So Arjun's king is still in the center, just realized that. SL's queen lined up. I mean, yes,
This is
he
just
gets
very
it to
pleasant
safety.
for white, right?
I see black's knight on e5. I see the open f line, and the Evalbar agrees with you. Explain it to us.
Well, I just see that there's a bishop g4 coming at some point. I might play f4, kick your knight and play bishop g4. So
Oh,
that's
is it
what
just
I mean.
very concrete then?
Yes.
You can also go bishop b6.
Or sit on e6. I don't even have to force this. I can go rook a2 and try to put a rook on e2 and then potentially later put the rook on e6. And e6 square is calling me.
But are you not just winning material then with f4 bishop g4?
Well, black is going to move the rook. So.
Oh, it's I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yes. So white is just got
Black may be
shortcuts.
better off chucking the exchange, to be honest. Let's say c4 here. And then if f4, knight d3, bishop g4, and you say
F4,
keep
knight
it, rook
d3.
a d, f8. And black will have some initiative for
You
us.
said c4, f4, knight d3, and if I go bishop g4?
Just rook f8. or
Yeah, I'm
It's
not
rook f8, okay,
going
okay.
for that. Rook f8 and then queen e3 check coming. Not good. Oh wow, but similar concepts happening. f4, so weakening the e3 square a little bit.
Do I move my
But
knight
you
somewhere?
want after knight d7, bishop g4, bishop e6.
Bishop g4, bishop e6 coming up.
Bishop g4, rook e1 is coming. It's just horrible.
It is
So,
not
wow, if Arjun winning this, then putting a lot of pressure on Magnus.
On Magnus, yes. All right, so Arjun, very pleasant position out of the opening.
Nodirbek, Wesley, come on, we have to do this. This is a masterpiece. What?
That's a black king on g6. Bishop h5 is a threat, and yet black isn't completely busted. He's up a rook.
Yeah, bishop f6. You have to take with the king because there's bishop h5 check, and then some queen f1 maybe.
Queen f1,
King e7.
king e7. Am I fine there or? Queen d2.
Or bishop f6, king f6, queen d2 with the threat queen g5.
F6, king f6, queen d2, queen g5 threat is there. And maybe I can
Yeah.
go h6,
Then rook f1 check.
then rook f1. Yeah, this looks very, very
But he
dangerous.
keeps the tension. He doesn't trade. He's saying, take my light squared bishop instead.
Fat chance.
Arjun looking completely winning. Vincent Keimer looking completely winning against Pragg.
Can we check in with Magnus really
Yes,
quickly
do it.
as well?
There we have it.
With Arjun completely winning. We won't stay for too long because it's not really exploded, but just your
Oh
evaluation
my
of the
God,
position.
Vincent just killing Pragg. Oh, so it looks. Wow.
Anand, let's move to that, but just quickly, if you could break this down to us, is Magnus going to try to push this because he's gained a lot of space, I think.
Well, he's going to try for g5, h5, g4. Knowing Nihal, he'll probably try to get in king f2, e1, d1, but he can't do it here. Maybe rook fb1, king f1, e1, d1, c1.
Because if you
We've
go king
seen that
f2,
king
then
march
I will
before.
block you and not allow you to go king e1. That's a
But
good.
instead
Oh, he's going.
queen e1. Oh, he's going king f2, e2.
Yeah.
So the king's going to hide on the other side of the board. Okay, big action on the other boards. Which one? I mean, I'm going to let you decide. Too hard for me to pick. Let's go to
Tanya-
the Arjun maybe.
Tanya, big
no?
mistake by
Arjun,
Dubov, by the way.
What is
against.
Arjun doing, by the way? Is it whose move is it? It's Arjun's move. Oh, it was his move. He had rook f4.
Arjun's position on the board. He's an exchange up. Yeah, h5, but still king still a bit exposed here.
Yeah.
Knight e5, queen d1, attacking this. Queen g5 happens on the board. Do I take on d6 or what do I do?
Yes.
Whose game?
You take
No, no,
d6
we
and
stay
it's
on
winning.
this.
And it's winning, yeah.
So this is winning for Arjun. He's got the extra exchange. The king very safe, surprisingly. Check in with Pragg because I think it's about to finish. Or it's already finished.
It looks like it, yeah.
Queen g7 check and it's over.
I think he's still on the board. Queen g7 is he goes rook g7, also
Also
very
winning.
Oh,
strong.
king d6, there is a rook d7 check here.
All kinds of checkmates on the back rank as well. He's won that. By the way, Arjun just won his game, so immediately SL resigned. Let's go to the Magnus board and let's stay there now for a bit.
So Magnus
No,
has
but,
to win now.
Danny and Vidit are drawing. Vidit is winning. Vidit is winning. Queen h4 check, king g1, rook c1 mate.
So Vidit has just won his game, which means that Daniel loses his spot at the top. I think that position needs a bit more time. We'll check in with this. Let's go full screen on our players as they're both playing on their final seconds.
So Nihal content to sit on
Just want to
the
point
big
out.
kingside advantage.
Yes, and your idea of transferring the king all the way from the king side to the queen side has happened. Nihal's king was on g1 just last time we checked. Is Nihal pushing in this position?
That's exactly what I wanted to ask you. Is Nihal the one pushing here?
It looks like a fortress if I play queen c5 and wait, but Magnus will.
Is it a fortress
play
for
b6.
who?
No, queen c5, b5, then there is no way to make progress.
Oh,
but he will not take on c5. Yeah.
He'd want to trade on his terms. Magnus has this full control of the h file, which really ties down Nihal's rook to g1 to defend the g2 pawn.
Yes. But what's
Queen
the way forward?
c5.
King a3, so he's happy to make some quiet moves.
Oof. And how much time they've got? Magnus
queen
has got a
f6.
few extra seconds.
I don't think there's any way
He's just
forward
going
here.
king b2, king a3 and holding down the fortress.
Yeah, king b2. He's just going to. I think they might stop now.
Yeah, you can see it on Magnus. I think he's sort of struggling. He wants to find something. You know, he's got the more active rook, a safe king, and he offers a draw.
And there we have
Nihal
it.
with relief on his face. It's never easy to hold these positions against
Absolutely.
Magnus.
We have one more game left between Abdusattorov and Wesley. Let's make a quick change there.
But Wesley winning totally.
So Arjun has taken the lead.
Correct.
Yes.
Arjun is now the sole leader.
A half-point lead over Magnus Carlsen.
And also the difference between, Magnus and Dubov.
Nodirbek just resigned.
Yes, what? He's down a piece. Yeah, he just blundered in the last few moments, I think. Yeah, Nodirbek
yes, I think
is
it's over.
really struggling here. So Nodirbek resigned, and I think
Should we do a quick check on the women's section as well?
yes, we've got one game remaining.
Oh.
It's a big one.
Also,
and it's a
let's remind
crazy
everyone,
position.
Katrina Lagno on 10.5. Yeah, she's on 2 points ahead of the
Yes.
of everyone else. Valentina needs to win to keep some.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but Valentina's
Valentina's,
going to resign now.
she's got nothing left on the board.
She's rook, knight, and pawn down.
And no perpetual. The knight and the rook defend the king. So Goryachkina about to take this one.
Yeah.
Which
means Lagno
2 points.
2 point lead now.
that's
What did Vantika do?
Vantika lost.
Lost. What did Koneru?
Koneru,
Koneru
Humpy won
So
against
Humpy is
Vaishali.
9 points. So it's a 1.5 point lead.
Yeah. it's
Or
a-
is Humpy 8 points after including that?
Yes, after.
Oh, it's.
No,
yeah.
so it hasn't been included yet. I think she's on 9 points.
All right, we will check in with the standings once they're ready. But before that, I think there are games that we need to look at.
Yeah.
We were not able to follow the Vidit Daniel board that I know caught your attention, Anand. Should we make that the first game to check in with?
Sure.
Let's do it.
So we were at this point where white happily chucked a pawn, and then knight e5 is a mistake because there is no real follow up. But Danny really goes for the jugular. Look at this. Bishop takes c5. He plays f4. Take.
Giving up the a1 rook, but of course
Then he
not going
puts
to
the
take
rook
it.
on f6 with the idea of somehow queen d4 and something. So rook f c8 happens. I'm wondering if I can play bishop h7 check here.
Bishop h7 check. King takes h7.
I'm hoping rook takes f7 somehow, but
King h6. At the end, I'm hoping to take your rook on a1, but that may be a bit too ambitious.
yeah.
So.
But you might just go king f8 and it might not matter so much. Play king f8.
Queen f3 maybe?
Then I take on f6 with the bishop.
Queen f6.
Yeah.
Still a bit difficult.
But instead he went rook h6. Queen d6 is a mistake. I think in these positions you have to be very, very precise somehow. Maybe you have to go queen b6 or queen c4. Maybe it's queen c4, so that I keep missing this key square.
And also d4 as well. There's a rook h8, queen d4 check as well.
But then after rook c1, there's a threat of bishop h7 in the air again.
Let's stay on our analysis board.
Anyway, he went queen d6, rook b1, which is neither here nor there, I think. Queen e5, beautiful. And now, since the queen and the bishop take the diagonal, the black king can move to f8. Yeah, and Vidit has managed a good defensive setup. Rook takes c2. I mean, we can sit and analyze carefully, but I think queen b3 must be a move. It's not even the best move. Maybe it's queen b1. But still not even very good for white. I don't know why. Maybe queen c3. Okay, so he went queen d2. Bishop a4 is a blunder.
Oh,
and now white is having
check.
a forced win. Queen b4 check, king g8. And apparently there's a forced win here.
So you don't have time to pick up the extra bishop.
But why
because
Yes, that is it. Queen c1. Oh, so white, black just had to continue. And now he had to bring his knight back and use that to defend with knight on e2.
to defend the king, knight g3, knight
Instead,
e2, but
he continued with the queen and then he's lost after this. So that was quite a dramatic.
Where's the checkmate here after king g3?
Queen e1,
King
queen
e-
h4,
queen
and
h4.
rook c1.
Sad, maybe you can
Queen
just-
e1, queen h4 also is
Yes.
quite interesting. Queen e1. That's actually happened
King
on the board.
h2.
King
Oh, it
h3
did
then
happen, yeah.
King h3, queen h4 check is mate. So queen h2, queen h4 happened.
Yes.
And rook
King
c1 is
here
mate. Yeah. Well,
and
queen
rook
d1.
c1. Yeah, this queen f2 check as well. Yeah, it's just mate. It's a very, very easy miss.
So with a bit of a speed breaker to Daniel's run there, and that means we are going into our round 15.
Yeah, it's 15.
Round 15, and let's bring up our standings with just 3 rounds
Sorry,
remaining.
round 16.
Going into round 16. And there we have it, Arjun Erigaisi at the top with 10.5 points, half a point ahead of Magnus. And then there's a huge gap, but Wesley, he finds himself at 3rd place right now.
Together with Danny.
Together with Daniel, and then we have Pragg and Vidit. But next round, we've got Arjun versus Vidit. So that's a really big one. Arjun, he has to keep up the pace. He has to keep striking to keep up with Magnus, because Magnus in the next round is playing against Daniel. Actually,
Dubov, yeah.
yes.
Oh, that's a big matchup from on both ends.
So still anything can happen. If Daniel scores a win in the next round, then we have a real mix-up. I think those two will be our marquee matchups. Let's also bring up the standings for the women.
Yeah, actually, you were right about the Humpy G. It didn't count. Having that added.
Yeah.
So Katrina Lagno on 10.5, having a 2-point lead already above the rest of the field. I think she's. It will be very unlikely to stop her. There's only 3 rounds remaining.
3 rounds remaining, 2-point lead.
2-point
pretty
lead, very, very
straightforward.
unlikely.
I don't know what her opponents are.
Her opponents are here. They are Humpy G, Harika, and Valentina.
Gunina in the
Villar.
last round, which might be
Crucial. Because
if she would need to collapse up quite a bit in the interim for it to be crucial. She need to concede at least 1.5 points for it to become crucial. So you see the point.
Yes, because if the players are tied at the same point in the last round for championship, then we go into a playoff, a best of 1.
But I think playoffs are a lot more likely, I think, between Arjun and Magnus, maybe in
Yes,
the open
oh my
section.
gosh, we'd love to
that
see
would
that.
be insane
In
to
fact,
watch.
Arjun's lead is quite minimal, right? It's just a half
Yeah,
point.
it's
Just
half
a
a
half
point, yeah.
point. But it's just between really these two players, Arjun and Magnus, because Wesley at 3rd is a 1.5 behind.
Indeed, and 2 points behind Arjun, actually. Because he's on 8.5 only. Wesley's on 8.5 and Arjun is on
Yes.
10.5. So the difference between Arjun and Wesley is the same between Katrina and Vantika.
And the players, they've arrived. Is that Arjun? That's Arjun. He's the first to arrive in the open section, and now we see the others are there as well. He plays with the black pieces against Vidit.
Okay, putting it up. There we have handshakes. Tanya, what do you think is going to happen?
Is it fair to call Vidit versus Arjun a clash of styles?
Yes, I think that's a nice way to put it, because Vidit does not do the things usually that Arjun does. So that itself is quite a stylistic gap between them.
Does anyone do those things that Arjun does when it comes to those?
I think Nodirbek and all do it kind of habitually. So it's just Arjun is doing it quite regularly now. But Vidit generally looks for healthier setups.
And Wesley currently on third position. He finished the rapid on a high. He finished rapid second. So he's looking at a podium finish in this one as well. But still a lot of chess to be played here. Vincent against Wesley. Wesley will try to do the to maximize his chances in this one. Vincent, he's, I believe, somewhere in the middle of the leaderboard. Now, Vincent is actually not having a great tournament, so definitely going to be a target for Wesley right now. House full, as we can see. A packed auditorium. We've got people, in fact, sitting on the stairs because there are not enough seats.
Correct. Wow. That is beautiful.
And there we see Mr. Chanakya from Tata Steel and Mr. Sarvesh as well. Tata Steel has been such a big support to the chess scene just in India, as well as the Vaikanze, the Wimbledon of chess tournament, for always supporting and cultivating talent. And we saw Vidit there a little bit on our screens. He's up against Arjun in the next one. He's thinking what kind of an opening approach should he have with white, so Arjun doesn't get his kind of positions. What would be your advice to that?
This is a few seconds before the game starts. You do whatever it is you want to do with your head, but anyway, you will not guess what your opponent is going to do. So,
especially if your opponent is this
but
guy.
the thing is, you're going to plunge into this 6-minute, 8-minute battle, and you're just trying to compose yourself.
With it,
Both
not
of them
meditating.
lost in thought.
Handshakes, and we are off. It's the queen's pawn opening by Vidit, and Arjun responds with the knight coming out immediately. Look at that. He chooses the most dynamic opening.
Arjun again provoking with Benoni.
Yes.
Ooh.
He's going for a Blumenfeld. Wow.
Blumenfeld.
So just
Let's put it up
That's
on
the
the board.
bottom right board. Vidit versus Arjun starts with a pawn sacrifice, and meanwhile, the Magnus board right next to that is just, wait, they took a bit of time there after the king's pawn opening. Magnus, he can decide between an Italian or a Spanish. It's the Spanish. Let's go straight to the Arjun board, Sahaj.
Yep, it's already on the board. If we can have the analysis board for Arjun versus Vidit. Blumenfeld, a very interesting choice by Arjun.
And Vidit's gone into a think, I see.
E4, okay.
So,
this is just good for white, isn't it?
so many of Arjun's
But there are
openings.
sharp lines. I mean, if you go e5, you can go knight g4, knight g5, but I suspect that's going to be a mess. So you can also play ed5, ed5, bishop e2,
And maybe
okay, the engine's dropping a bit there. What does it want to do? Knight g5 or queen e2 check, maybe
still
knight
bishop
g5.
d6.
No, it isn't. No, it's not that.
Maybe ed5 was also, like the ball went a bit down there, I think. Something else maybe here.
Well, e5 is possible. It's the sharper
Yeah,
one,
I think
but
that's
I think
what
if you're
he-
not expecting this, then it's...
Yeah, he played e5 actually, knight g4, knight g5, knight e5 is on the board, where it still has a slight advantage, but position is very, very complex. Wow, queen e7.
This
if
is
you go
prep.
this,
I mean, look at Arjun's time.
if
This
you go,
is-
just I want to show this. If you go for the rook, knight f3 was just a mate.
Yeah.
Okay, knight takes d5, a mistake by Vidit. Knight f3 check.
is maybe the only move in the position, because queen takes knight, there's knight c7, and bishop takes knight, there's queen takes bishop.
I think he's going to go knight f3 check, yes.
He does it,
So gf3,
then you
queen
take it with a
e6,
check.
knight e3, castle long maybe, and Arjun achieves what he wants.
Yes,
which
a
is
mess.
chaos on the board, yeah.
He's the man who brings on the chaos.
gf3, queen e6 on the board, and now long castle. Wow, this looks so
Or
good.
knight
He's
e5,
got-
bishop e2.
Every
bishop
time he
e7,
does
yeah.
this.
He's got
95,
exactly what
95
he
is really nice,
wanted. And that's the thing about playing these openings, right? If your opponent isn't prepared for them, in Blitz, it's so difficult to keep things under control.
Yeah.
I remember even Wesley said when he was here that all he does is look at Arjun's games, and then you know exactly what to do to have a battle.
So 95, F3 is a tender
Now
spot.
rook d8, yeah.
D8.
So forcing white to decide there.
Queen c2. Oh,
He's gone bishop d2.
Uh,
At least not conceding that thing right away. Black can play c4.
have to keep the energy here. C4, yeah. I was thinking something like bishop e7 because.
I mean, maybe queen f7 is also very strong.
Oh,
Just doubling
queen
down
f7
on
to
the
attack
F3
this, yeah.
pawn.
Or bishop e7 castle shot. I don't know. Just everything seems to
It
be
looks
nice.
very pleasant, but he's got a little bit of a time advantage. He's gone for the
Bishop
idea, the
e7,
simpler
yeah.
idea of bringing all the pieces into the center. Yeah, how tough is it to play a move like f4 here for Vidit? You know, with the bishop on b7, the rook on h1.
Did he play?
No, he
Oh,
did. He
pretty
doesn't.
He's gone rook g1, yeah. To be honest, that's probably the move I would have played as well. f4, allowing bishop h1. You have to kind of see that the alternatives were bad and then think, but I can maybe castle long, queen c2, long castle after fe5. Blitz is not the control where all these things happen.
Yes.
So now if he goes rook g3, he's going to punch him with bishop h4. So in fact, it's
Just everything is beautifully placed for black. Even that rook on d8 pinning the bishop on d2. Just compare each of black's pieces to white's pieces.
yeah.
I feel like white's pieces are a bit paralyzed in this position. Queen c2, okay.
Because of bishop f3, he'll go bishop c3. Okay.
Bishop f3, he will go bishop c3, okay. If bishop takes e2, then bishop takes e5, of course, yeah.
Oh. King takes e2, maybe.
takes e2?
Bonging your way.
The Wong cloud makes its way back. Oh, yeah, if you move the knight, because there's then g7
He's
is
taking
also
on
hanging.
f3 with the knight. And that bishop on f3 now stops white going queenside.
Yes, queenside castle. So the king is still super unsafe. And
But
now
I can play queen c4.
bishop.
Because bishop c3, that's a mistake. Wait, is there some queen e3 check idea?
Whoa, but there's
hoping-
rook
okay,
g3,
Yeah, there's
right?
rook g3 at the end, yeah. Okay,
But
he's
it's an idea to keep on your mind
Yeah.
because
But
it could
rook
work.
d4 now.
Oh, rook. Did you see rook d4? That was a very nice move, actually.
But maybe rook d4 then queen b3 or something. I don't know.
But he starts with g6. And I think bishop d5, you want to not trade in this position, I would guess. Or rook d5,
Rook
the computer.
d5.
Yeah.
Similar to your rook d4.
Yes. And then bishop h4 also joins in on the action. And
Actually, once bishop h4 comes in, there's a lot of threats. Bishop takes pawn, queen takes knight, everything will be in the air. And of course, Arjun
But wait,
plays rook
rook
d5.
g3 now. You go bishop h4. Yeah.
But then rook
Rook
f3.
Rook f3. Queen
I see,
d5.
queen.
Rook a3. Yeah.
rook f3 and rook e3.
You saw the hesitation in my voice.
What about queen c4, stopping bishop h4 as well temporarily?
Queen c4, okay.
Yeah, you control the h4 square. I think he played
He
that.
played it, yeah.
Let's go full screen on our players. This game is absolutely wild. So
it's
it's rook
running
d1.
rook d1 mate. So now
That's
king
mate in
f1.
one. Let's have the arrow just pointing
yeah,
that
rook d-
checkmate
rook
out
d1.
for everyone.
Also, we're in serious time trouble as well.
But rook d1 wins anyway. No, it doesn't win anyway.
Can I play bishop h4? No, because if you play queen h4, rook d1 check is mate.
No, it isn't. You go rook d1, bishop e1.
Wow, Vidit has got 13 seconds in this
I was thinking
extremely
91.
complex position. I would have resigned last year here or gotten checkmated 6 months ago.
30 seconds against 13. Wow.
Yes.
You can at least go queen h3 and queen h6 just to gain some time.
So he's thinking, Arjun,
There
he
he goes,
goes
queen
queen
h3.
h3.
Maybe bishop h4 now. Yeah.
Bringing that bishop, you've been hoping to get into the game, Sahaj. It's finally there.
But what is, why is this good?
It's completely
the-
winning
what-
according to the bar.
It's
Yeah, but why is bishop h4 good? I don't understand.
Well, maybe queen takes pawn was a threat at some point.
I mean, is it that slow? Can that white? Could I have gone queen f4? I don't know. He's gone back to e6.
Now again, rook takes rook.
Rook
so
takes rook, then queen takes e3 check.
yeah, yes. So rook.
So he's rook d3. I mean, white has loaded everything onto the
Isn't
board.
queen e... No, queen e3 is it's pinned.
Queen h4.
Oh, he blunders queen king.
He blunders,
F8,
yeah.
queen
Queen
f4.
h4, but not queen f4.
Oh my
okay.
gosh. Oh my gosh, a big miss by Arjun because he was down to 3 seconds and now Vidit has taken over.
Yes. And now queen f3 resigns.
And you're down
Queen
a
f3
piece.
resigns.
You're down a piece.
Well,
And
queen
Anand,
a8 check.
Where
and
is
rook
the
g3.
attack?
And rook g3 and it's game over. Rook g3.
Is he going to repeat?
Oh, queen c. No, rook
No,
g3.
no.
Rook g3 is easy.
He just gives a few checks, gets a few seconds, moves his king on the side. It's still not over.
Yes, it is.
F2 pawn, it's got to come.
Now he's going to take the a7 pawn with check. But
Does
that doesn't.
it?
Yeah.
But the queen, there are threats on the board.
And the thing is, he can always
Oh,
gain time with
95.
these checks. So, oh, 95
It
check.
just
And
slipped.
it's over. It's mate. It's queen g7 and knight c7.
And it just slipped right out of Arjun's hands.
Look at Arjun.
Oh my gosh. And he's one player who we don't see so much emotion on. And he had done everything right. The opening had worked to perfection.
After move 25, he was completely winning. It was a -5 position. But still, there are some games left. Let's go over to
Unbelievable.
Magnus versus Dubov.
Yes, let's head over to the Magnus board. So now, if Magnus wins, he goes half a point ahead of Arjun, and it looks like he's about to do that. Anand, what's going on here? One pawn on b2, one pawn on c7.
Yeah, well, I think that's what's going on here. So knight d6, king here, h4. So he's just chucked the pawn to wait a move, but that was a mistake because of rook e2 and f4.
Whoa, something slipped. So
What
maybe
is he doing?
did he just chuck it too quickly then? One by one, the
Taking
pawns are falling
F5.
off the board for white.
Oh, that's a mistake. Knight f7.
Yeah.
Oh, he just blundered.
And he collects the other pawn as well. And yeah, now Magnus does win this game.
Oh, FNH pawn's not working this time, I think.
No, because the king is too well
Yeah.
placed. And
They-
wait, no. This is still no. The king should be on h6, not on
Yeah,
the last
it's-
rank. Yeah,
So if black's king is on h6, that's a
draw.
Theoretical draw.
a
yeah.
theoretical draw, but you still have to prove it.
Yes, you still have to prove it, but
It looks like he
And
has
Wesley with a
gotten that
smile.
position, if I'm not mistaken.
Wesley's smiling because he won his game.
Yeah, the board is not updating, but from the looks of it, he has gotten his king on h7. Or maybe that is winning, yeah.
and now it's lost because that pawn is alive on h5. It can't. You can't.
Complete king g6.
Yeah, now
You
it's
don't
a-
have the g6 square for your king, which is very important. And Magnus, of course, converts it
So Magnus takes the
flawlessly.
lead. Wow.
He takes the lead, but what a heartbreaking game
For
that was
Arjun,
for
yeah.
Arjun.
Yes.
You know, so close to doing everything, and then in those final few moments, it just
His,
slips from
his
your
provocation works perfectly, but then what did he blunder?
hand. Let's take a
You
look
can
at
actually take a look at that,
what
yeah.
happened.
Okay, 1 second.
Magnus there looking up to see what happened, just like we are getting over the action that we just saw.
Okay, it was this position, knight f3. Yep, so please. So
Yeah.
gf3, queen e6. This is the position we were looking at somewhere in this moment.
We saw all of this, right? And
Yeah.
it felt like Arjun was completely crushing. Where did it slip?
So this was completely winning. Bishop h4, queen e6. This is where it
Yes.
started to go a bit.
Yeah.
He wanted to play
He
king
played rook
f8.
d3, and now he played king f8, which is a mistake because it allowed this queen f4 check. Is there some other forced win here?
Yeah, in this position, yeah. Maybe just rook d6 and then you just take on d3. Yeah, rook d6, no?
Yes, because if I take on h4, you take on d3, and there's a mate coming. Yeah, that would have clinched it, but instead,
He played this king f8.
is there anything quieter? Can I go h5 or something? Okay, that it makes it a draw apparently. Okay, but rook d6.
Rook d6, and you
Yes,
want to just
strong
defend your queen. And I think after king f8, Arjun had this really tricky idea of taking queen takes e3 next. So he was
Yes.
setting up this beautiful trap.
But queen f4 check, which is a spanner in the works. King e8 is a blunder. King g8 is a draw, maybe? No, that's not the draw. What is the draw? Queen. Oh, rook f5 is the draw. Wow.
But I think Arjun just missed Queen F4, and then you know you
Then,
realize.
yeah, you kind of. And then he moves the king, and then suddenly this happens.
Then just one
And
by one,
collects the bishop.
everything collapsed in a
Yeah.
matter of 2-3 moves.
2 seconds, yes.
2 seconds, yes.
Wow.
And you know this, our next round, Arjun plays Magnus.
Yeah.
Having been so close to this victory, if you would have done it, that would have been a completely different mindset. And now you have to play against Magnus. Arjun, if he wins it, you know, he still takes the lead. But this was a big miss, Edge.
This was a big miss indeed. Also, it's difficult to, I think, get your mind. I mean, sir, maybe you can give some insight here. What does he need to do?
Yeah, well, he needs to play. That's what's there to do. It's Blitz. You just compose yourself and you play. I don't think you follow a plan or anything. You just. But Arjun will have another nice idea somewhere. He'll throw it in, and he'll get some chances. We'll see.
It's the final 2 rounds of Blitz coming up. Magnus Carlsen is back on top with a half-point lead. And next up is Arjun Erigaisi versus Magnus Carlsen. You don't want to miss that one. We'll be back in just a few. It's Arjun Erigaisi taking on Magnus Carlsen. That's the big one. Arjun at 10.5, Magnus with a half-point lead. We've had liftoff already. We've got the first few moves in. So we're going to go straight into the action. This is our marquee matchup, and I think we stick to this one. Let's bring up our board. Let's quickly start from the beginning because I think we missed the first few moves on, and just take us through the opening moves.
So they used to play queen f3 here and try to double these pawns, but that's gone out of fashion. Arjun taking the two bishops right away, or at least hoping to.
I think he took it. Bishop f5, queen
Queen
f5 is
f5.
already on the board.
But how big the advantage of the two bishops here is an open question.
Is the mindset going to be a factor for Arjun from what we just saw a few moments ago?
I think you don't have time to sit and reflect too much. He has probably dropped himself right back into this game, and he'll just be here. But look, a small part of him is irritated.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's-
You will
it's
carry
tough.
that with you. But I think by once the game starts, you're really focused on that. So
Okay, h6, bishop h4 already happened. So which side should Magnus castle on?
I think it depends first of all where he plays. Does he go queen e7, queen e6, or is he going to go queen b6? All these things matter. If he goes queen e7, queen b6, he could castle long. In fact, queen e7 he could castle long. If he wants to play queen a5 or something, that's an entirely different struggle. We'll see.
So if the queen goes to b6 or a5, then casting short can be possible.
Okay, so he's
Goes g6.
playing
okay.
g6. So if queen f3, what does he want to do? King f8, king g7 maybe? Or he can castle.
Seems a bit risky to castle here, but I think it works.
No, queen f3, you should castle. It's not easy to get an attack going with your pawns are still far behind. So he's come back queen to f3. And now he goes queen e7. Queen c2, queen e7, bishop d3, okay. Magnus goes for g5.
Oh, long castle, there was this nice tactic with knight takes d5, so I think he just,
Yes, that is true. You can show that maybe.
Yeah, just really quickly, let's go
in
back.
this position, if black castle, there was knight takes d5, which is a very nice tactic. Okay,
With
coming
the
back.
bishop pinning the knight. So
Now
we
we-
have this position, Saj, with queenside castling and Arjun lining up for the b pawn moving ahead.
b4 already on the board. Arjun already attacking, and Magnus is not backing down either with h5, h4. But whose king is safer?
The problem for white is a b5, there's c5 still. So Arjun has to prepare this a bit more. Ideally, Arjun would have castled and rook f c1 and then b5 will work. But white doesn't have time to castle now because Magnus is going to play h4. So maybe, I think on average I'd rather be black. He's gone knight a4.
To stop c5, so next he wants to go b5. It's such a race, so h4. And do you have time to go b5?
H3.
Takes on c6. No, first you have to trade.
You
How
have
do
to
you
do
do
rook
it?
h8, rook h8, bc6. I go rook h1, rook b1, and then move the knight. Maybe
Oh,
that
you might be
actually works
seeing
for
it.
white, but I might.
Maybe, yeah.
If I go h4, you go b5, I might want to play cb5 first. That could be a thing.
So
If
he
he
does
goes
that.
rook c8 instead,
Yes, he stops it. Prophylactic b5, c takes b5 or c5, both may be possible.
so white can play what, knight c5 here?
Also, Wesley's probably rooting for Magnus right now because Wesley is a point behind Arjun. So I think Wesley would love to finish ahead of Arjun in the table right now. Arjun with white, he's trying to get to the king as well. b5 coming in next. h4 still not on the board and perhaps not as strong with the rook on h8 pinned.
Yeah.
He goes for
He
it.
has gone h4.
a5, okay. Is the plan to go a6, or is he hoping that black plays a6 and then you can maybe in some world you can go bishop takes a6?
Could be any of those things. I mean, it's just a useful move, I think, for the moment. Because b5 is still not a threat.
Just take
And I
it.
think a6, knight b7 seems a bit strange. So Magnus defends his rook on h8.
But if that
So
is
he goes gh4, rook h4, fine. Take and now bishop f5 would be nice.
so this is a slight mistake, at least according to the engine.
Because of bishop f5?
bishop
Mistake
f5.
for whom, by the way?
It was a mistake for black. Queen f8 was a mistake. The bar
Yeah, because
shot
now
up.
bishop f5 looks pleasantish.
And there's really no attack on the white king. The rooks have been traded off. You know, the king on f1 will defend that g2 pawn
Yeah,
nicely.
bishop f5 and king f1 is a lovely structure to have.
Arjun so far doing everything right in this game.
Yeah.
What's the time situation, Sahaj?
Knight takes. He's on 56 seconds versus 36 seconds. So Magnus and some time pressure as well. This is looking good. Bishop
But
f5.
why did Arjun play a6 and trade that knight? Couldn't he have just continued? Or maybe bishop f5, he was afraid of black playing a6, but seems very strange because bishop f5, king f1 is such a nice plan.
But you know, you get this pleasant position. You're playing against Magnus. You still have to get the job done. You have to continue doing it, and that plays tricks with your mind as well.
Sure, no doubt. So the knight has already gone to f6. It might even go e8 to d6. That's why I really wanted the second knight alive.
There's f3. Oh, that's a slight mistake here.
Oh, is he looking at king f2, rook h1 idea now trying to transfer? Or queen f2, like you said.
That's also a
maybe.
very nice idea, Tanya. Oh, but he gives up the g3 square, so a bit unlikely to play king f2 now. Maybe
But
queen
what
f2
about
is
queen
still
f2?
possible. Okay, bishop h3 to defend this.
One gets the feeling the momentum is shifting. You know, black is putting.
I think black is doing well.
Oh.
So
putting
now
pressure.
he's bringing the knight out to the d6 and c4. Can he go rook c3, take c6? Probably not. Queen h7 might be a nice move.
Oof.
Just throw it.
It's full board awareness.
Yeah,
So
queen
hard.
h7 because then if knight d6 I have a check.
He stops a little short of that, I think.
He's offering to exchange the queens.
Takes. Knight d6. Oh, rook e7. Okay.
Wow, Magnus, you see, he's also,
He's just taking over, isn't he?
yeah,
A6 is going to fall now, Anand.
rook e6, what is he doing? He's going to go bishop f5.
Oh, that was a mistake because rook c6, knight b4. Oh.
And
Now he's lost, yeah.
Yeah.
Knight d3, b4, a5 resigns, yeah.
Unbelievable. Magnus is doing it again. And for Arjun, once again a great start. And perhaps Anand will show us how it slowly slipped away, and that's it. Arjun resigns and Magnus reacts to that victory. He takes a big lead, and I think he might already be the champion of the Blitz because he moves on to 12 points.
Yeah.
Wesley isn't catching up with him. Magnus Carlsen is the winner of the Tata Steel Chess India Blitz.
Yeah, you are right, and it's the same. The same thing happened in the rapid section as well. He won one round to spare, and yep, 1.5 point lead. He has already won the tournament.
What
Sad.
a champ he is, though. I mean, just the way he does it, you know, a full Houdini effect, how difficult it is to take down Magnus, even from better positions. He stops by to see the other games, but he's got to be feeling good inside.
Yeah.
Sahaj, Wesley, just a quick check in on that.
Wesley. Okay, by the way, Vidit has also defeated SL.
Sahaj, before we go, can we quickly go over to the women board? I want to bring up Harika versus Katerina Lano because Lano needs only a draw.
And she just got it.
She just got it. So Lano
Nice.
as well becomes the winner
champion,
of the Tata Steel Chess India Blitz, 1 round to spare. So in both sections, Anand, it's going to be a fight to the second place.
Yes.
All right, let's go back.
Let's go back, and we were on. Oh, Wesley So has also defeated Nihal Sareen. So now we have a fight for the second place between these players because now Wesley and Arjun are both on 10.5, and Magnus has already won the tournament with 12 points.
Very dominating performance by Magnus. He started the Blitz with 5.5 out of 6 and then had that, well, I wanted to say little hiccup, but quite a big hiccup with that 20 move loss against Arjun. But today, you know, he kept things under control and Saj, I think this is the last final position that you have on.
All the games have already finished. I think we can just take a quick look at the other boards. So which game would you like to have a look at? I know this round actually finished really fast. So we didn't get a chance to look at any of the game. This position looks quite interesting. Maybe if you can take us through.
Well, this one's.
Take us through the first moves. So.
Yeah, is this game very relevant or?
Yeah, maybe the.
So, okay, switching
See
to
it
almost
quickly.
a QGA out of this. Okay, I think white is kind of doing well here. Ah, no, not anymore.
There's some very nice attack that happened afterwards. It would be nice to.
Sure. Bishop e4, king g7 is a mistake because of takes and knight c3 maybe. what is the move? Is it bishop takes d5? Yes, so it wants to make an isolated pawn there. White does this, and black still hangs around instead of moving his queen and solving that problem. Okay, and this is just very nice. At least in Blitz, you don't have to discuss white's advantage. So,
With the knight coming into e6 and Vidit converted this one. Do you want to take a quick look at the Wesley game that we missed out on?
Yeah, there we go. We have the Wesley game right here.
And then I want to take you to Arjun's board because it felt like he had everything under control and more than control.
Let's go through the game. So start at 3d5. Please feel free to stop me at any point, sir. E3 castle.
so this is a QGA with the bishop on f5. So
Would you say it's a much better version of the QGA?
yes, I mean here it's nice. Normally if the bishop is on c8, you've got to solve some problems with it, but this must be fairly comfortable for black. Knight d4, because he didn't want to get punched with b5, a4 and these kinds of things. Rook d1 is a blunder because I go a4, oh, and after you have to go somewhere where you defend the rook. If you go here, then I win a piece with this because it's pinned against the thing. So he just blundered. And after queen c2, what was the punishment? Rook c8, okay. Pinning it this way now. He takes it and e5, so he wins this way.
Oh, nice. That was a very nice tactic by Wesley.
Yeah.
It's a very nice tactic indeed. By the
And
way,
with that win, Wesley joins Arjun in our standings. Anand, should we check in with that game because I'm still thinking about where it all went wrong for Arjun and where Magnus started taking over the initiative. Yes.
just want to mention one thing, that Wesley has won 5 games in a row already. And he's yet to play Daniel Dubov in the last round, and Arjun plays Pragg with the black pieces. So that's going to be a very fun match as well. Which game did you say, Tanya?
The Magnus versus Arjun, and Wesley started the day not really in the mix of things. He was in that bottom half of the leaderboard. And here he is getting his hot streak and now playing for the second place. Yeah, this was the complex battle. This was our match, our round of the match. And what happened in this? Because Arjun got the kind of positions he was aiming for.
We have this, knight g3, bishop here. You were mentioning something with queen f3 and you can double up the pawns on f6.
Yeah, but that was earlier. So Magnus, you can do this with the pawns on g7 or g6. Magnus decided to force off the bishops quickly. Castle long, rook b1, b4. So Magnus correctly starts to counterattack on this side. Knight a4. So black simply wanting to slow white down a bit. Knight c5, rook c7, a4, h4, a5. So far I liked it. I don't know what, it's already slightly better for white, but queen f8 was a mistake apparently. I can take.
This is where we started feeling hopeful about Arjun's chances.
I didn't like a6, to be honest, though. The computer doesn't. I thought bishop f5 is very nice, but nope. It doesn't seem to be the way forward. What is the. Is it just a6 I didn't like? Yeah. Oh, so this a6 was a strong positional threat for black. So good of Arjun then to
feel
stop
that.
it and nail it. But after b6, what exactly? It wants to take, and then it doesn't want to go bishop f5. Does it want to go b5? Or? Rook c1, king f1, what does it want to do with a big advantage? There's a big advantage here.
Can he try to go queen e2 and try and get the queen on the other side now? Are those
Maybe,
ideas?
since it's not bishop f5, maybe it is this way. Yes, you're right. And get the queen out into the open spaces here. Ah, that is
That's a nice,
beautiful. Very nice.
Very nice. Queen f3. Thank you.
After bishop f5, knight f6. Now black has these extra options, you can see. Which happened. F3, I wouldn't have touched it so easily, but
golden pawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
He goes
time.
knight e8.
So
Queen
now we
f5, but the problem with queen f5 is now it happens with tempo, but Magnus Doesn't play knight d6, which is lazy. He goes rook e7. This would have been a good chance maybe to throw in rook c3, but then knight d6 comes and that's the problem.
And then knight c4 anyway.
Because you can't even play bishop d3 because the e3 pawn is left
king
hanging.
f2, he goes here, bishop d3, b5. White can defend forever, which Arjun instinctively recoiled against doing. But this is still equal. So Arjun didn't have to do this, and now he's just lost because Magnus doesn't even need this rook c7. He could, and the pawns are just going to wash through, and that was it.
So do you think he just completely missed that he can take the a6 pawn anyways, or what?
Something happened in the blitz. That's all.
Yeah, playing on final seconds, and with that, Magnus Carlsen clinches the Blitz victory. And now for Arjun, right? He suffered that loss against Vidit, and then this one as well. Now he's fighting for second place against Wesley, and let's see who he's going to be playing against as we go into our final rounds. Let's also bring up our standings on our screens.
He plays Dubov.
Wesley plays Danny, and Arjun will be playing Pragg, you said?
Arjun plays Pragg, yes.
Oh, what a match that will be. So this is where we are. Magnus Carlsen uncatchable at 12 points. The same narrative as the Rapid, 1 run to spare, tournament victory for him. Well, he's the king of Kolkata, winning the Rapid, winning the Blitz. And then you've got Wesley Arjun at 10.5. For Vidit, he's back a little bit. You know, he got some wins in now. He's on 9 points. He wants to finish on a high. This is where we are. And a huge, huge congratulations to Katrina Lhano as well. If we bring up our women's standing, what a dominating performance it's been by Katrina from start to finish.
True. She, going into the first day, she was leading by a point, and now she has only extended her that lead to a 1.5 points. So very dominating indeed. And Gunina, the World Blitz champion, I think she was. I mean, is it safe to say that she has secured the second spot, or who is she supposed to be playing? Let me take a look.
She's playing Vantika. Is that right?
No, she plays Lagno. She plays Lagno actually. Wow. She plays Vantika just now actually.
Yeah.
And Lano did beat Gunina yesterday in their final round encounter, I believe, or maybe it was a draw. Maybe you can confirm that for me, Sahaj. But Lano is the 3-time Women World Blitz champion as well, so she's really showing why here. And Vantika again in the mix for the podium finish along with Goryachkina. It's going to be a fun battle, but it is a race for the second place in both these sections. And I think we've got the players in our arena, so let's head over to our venue, and there we've got the big fight for Gunina, for only one of these two players, because Lano's already clinched the title.
Yep, I think we'll have liftoff in just a minute. Let me just pull up the games here as well. So Pragg versus Arjun, what do you think is going to happen there, Tanya?
I think that's a question for Anand.
They'll play a blitz game. That's all.
Because
I mean, for Arjun, it's now it's 2 losses. He was leading the tournament. Now he's basically fighting for second. I don't even know if he cares anymore. He'll play out of inertia. I think he was willing to take a lot of risk in the Magnus game because first is worth a lot more to him than second, and now he's definitely going to be disappointed. So, but Pragg will still be fighting to have the best position he can. So we'll see.
Yeah, more on the line for Arjun for sure, but he's coming out of 2 back-to-back losses, and not just the score line, it was the nature of the games as well, which is tough to deal with. He goes into this
with it. He was
completely winning.
Better at some point against Magnus, and to lose both.
Yes.
Stuff, yeah.
And I think especially the win against Vidit, because that was really close. And tactically doing everything right. And these are 2 good friends. They're going to be facing each other in this final round. It's handshakes, it's liftoff, it's 1e4.
Tanya, just to add on to that point, in the open section, the top 3 places are already confirmed. Yeah, it's Magnus, Wesley, and Arjun, because the 4th board is 1.5 points behind.
Yes, so it's just a fight on who finishes second.
Who finishes second?
It's between these 2 players. The first got decided just a few minutes ago.
So which board should we go to?
If we just do an overview, let's zoom out for a moment. Action is underway. This is the final round of Blitz, and we sure hope that you're sitting outside at the Dhono Dhanyo Auditorium for this exciting finish that we're all looking forward to. And we've got action all around. Early positions, 1e4, 1d4 mostly, except on that bottom left board with Vidit. What catches your attention right now, Vishy?
Nihal didn't play a5, which I expected. He went a6 instead. Magnus versus Vidit is a reverse Sicilian, continuing with our reverse themes.
This one's easier to figure.
Yeah. What else is happening so far?
So, Magnus versus Vidit.
Dubov provoking Wesley a little bit, but
Wesley seems to be in a slightly better position, although it's too early to say.
And what about the Pragg-Arjun board? There's a direct threat. Should we jump to that one
I
straight?
think so, yeah. I think
I
let's go there.
don't know that I like b4. It seems quite early, but rook e1 and then bishop e7, some d4 maybe.
Should be 7.
Yeah, so d4 or e5
Yeah.
and c4, e5 and c4.
If we can have the analysis board, so we can do a deep dive of the Pragg versus Arjun board. Yep, there we have it. So knight
so
d4.
on d4, so
Yeah.
on d4.
Do I take or do I just castle?
He took.
He took.
Then he's going to
takes.
play what, bishop c6?
Yeah, bishop says. Oh, bishop
No, he's
says-
got rook c8 instead, okay.
Attacking the c2
I can
pawn.
play c4. But then you take and you castle or you go bishop c5, right? Yeah.
Also after c4, how are you reacting to bishop c6? Because the knight doesn't have too many squares. Knight b6, rook b8 might just be getting trapped. Or c5.
Knight
you've
b6,
got.
rook b8. Oh, knight b5 I want to do.
Oh.
But you're right, knight b6, e5 is a... No, e5, queen e3 is still possible.
E5, knight versus e5 is really nice.
No, but queen e3,
Queen
he's
e3.
already played h3, so it won't matter.
It's a nice prophylactic
So he
move to
went
avoid
c4
knight
instead,
g4
and then now
ideas.
knight c3.
We've
I
got the
guess,
en passant, a streamer's favorite move as they call it. Things magically
Pragg has
disappear.
nothing here. This is as comfortable as it gets.
So Arjun with a comfortable position out of the opening. Let's check in with Vidit versus Magnus. If Vidit can do what no one's been able to do today.
Nope, no one, indeed. And he is better again. He was better yesterday against Magnus as well. So hopefully this is redemption. Definitely looking for revenge, yeah?
Knight d7 probably? Sorry.
Knight d7. Okay, defending the e5 pawn and attacking the c5
Or
pawn.
knight c4. But knight c4, bishop c3, I'm not quite sure.
And yeah,
bishop
b3
gets
bishop
stuck
is also
somewhere, yeah.
attacked, yeah. Knight a4, okay.
But then bishop e5.
Yeah, the computer didn't like that move. Bishop takes
Yeah,
e5.
why not knight d7, I wonder?
Yeah, knight d7 would have done the same thing. Okay, so rook e8.
Just play knight d7 and see. That was correct. Yeah.
That was
Black
correct,
just keeps up winning. So sometimes the simplest moves are the best.
The thing is, right, Magnus, he's already won the tournament. I think he often goes into this thing where he wants to have fun in the last round then. So he takes all these risks.
He could have made a draw in 3 moves.
I wonder what Vidit's reaction to
Correct
that
me if
would
I'm
have
wrong.
been.
Didn't he make a draw for against Vidit on move 5 in that bishop c4 knight g5 line, and that was in the Kolkata?
It was Tata Steel Chess India in 2019, but he wasn't well at that time.
Right.
So he finished that game off. But he did the same against Nodirbek, right, in the Rapid. He's the champion already, and then he takes all these risks, gets into a bit of trouble. But that's never enough. You still have to play on and beat Magnus on every move. And what do we make of this? Is the worst behind Magnus?
No, Magnus is much better because, I mean, I wanted to go rook d1, rook c1. The computer seems to want to go queen b2.
You're going to sack on c6, right,
b2.
at some
Yeah.
point.
He goes rook c1, human move.
Yeah.
Rook c6 sacks
It's
incoming.
coming.
Oh, g5. It's going to be a crazy game.
G5, with it, will he play it?
What's the point of g5? I take, you take, I take twice.
Is it the d2 pawn at
Maybe
some
somebody
point?
h8 and queen
H8
no,
and
but
just to
I'll be attacking.
get something on the h line, yeah? He played
He's
g5.
played g5, yeah.
Wow.
With it's ready for the fight. He says game on.
Wait, rook c6? No, Magnus just plays bishop h2.
Also, I think just, we don't have to go there, Saj, but I think Wesley Daniel is about to end in a perpetual. Would that be, I mean, I think a draw is very likely there.
Yes.
Which means if Wesley draws his game.
Wait, queen e3 check, rook f2.
Okay, let's actually bring that up on the board then, if there's more to play for, because Wesley is competing for that second spot with Arjun.
But he's a rook down, no? And it's Dubov's choice if he wants to make a draw or not. So Wesley doesn't get to choose that.
No.
So,
But I think Wesley is quite pleased with himself.
oh, he takes queen e3.
Take, so it's still game on this one.
Wow, so you were absolutely right about this.
But that is slightly better for white. So the computer feels he should have taken the draw. What will he do now? Rook f2 maybe?
Rook f2.
Is it queen takes pawn that he wants?
Then knight c2. Try to keep things strong.
I was thinking queen g3. Queen g3, get the rook here, and then queen c3. So if you
that
go
might
knight
be a
c2, I have
point,
queen
yeah.
c5 check, and then I take this guy.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. But we've got moves coming in.
Oh,
I
but
think
wait, now, yeah, but this cannot be an advantage. Because if you go queen d4, I can take rook c7, and your white's never going to be worse there.
All right, we'll move away from this board. Let's go back to the Pragg Arjun board because Pragg has the upper hand. But what's happening here, Anand?
Pragg does have the upper hand. If bishop takes c6, what is he going to do?
Pawn
You have
takes,
to
I
take
think.
with the pawn.
Yeah,
It's
because if
on
you take with the
board.
rook b8 check was winning.
Yes.
Now knight to b5, queen takes
b5,
c3,
queen
knight d6 check.
Right. Oh, he goes knight e4, so basically the
Yeah,
same thing.
Queen e3,
Queen
knight
e3,
d6
knight
check.
d6 check, king f8.
Fe3, splat. Oh, he's gone to d7. This is splat anyway, fe3.
Okay, this is seems like he's saved the position somehow. Oh, rook b8 is a nice
okay.
intermezzo.
Stopping rook b7. And now you're just
Oh,
going for
yeah,
that
that's
f3 square at some point.
Knight g5.
Or knight g5 also, which just comes in. h3, f3.
Knight f3, there is rook takes b8, so he can't play that. But if you take, then you give me the b file and I get on b7.
He's gone king c7, a quiet move. But wait, now I play h4.
h4.
And the knight is
Yeah, it's forced to go to an.
retreated in shame.
Yes, to a
but-
really undesirable spot.
But now I can take on b8 and go rook f1, rook f8. Wow, he's allowing knight e8, g7. But now rook b1 maybe.
Then rook b8, I think that's a.
Yeah, take, and then knight e4, knight c5 maybe.
Now he goes rook c1, so he puts it on the c file and g5 breaking open, trying to get some squares for that knight.
By the way, g5 was a mistake. We don't know why, but maybe we'll get
h5
back
would
to
have been
that.
good. Rook a4.
And Magnus has won that final game as well. And just, we won't check it, but rook takes c6 was the last move in that game.
Ah, okay.
So maybe at the end of it.
And in fact, he's lost a. What happened?
7 king b6, check.
Oh, Pragg blew it. And now he's taking the pawn.
Okay, takes. Oh, rook g7.
G4 check. King e4, and white should have enough for a draw. Yeah, black should have enough for a draw. So
Okay, I managed to save it. He can take on e3 now. Maybe rook a2, yeah. Or rook c2, he saves it. Okay, is Arjun maybe trying here or no? Or is that a bit of a stretch?
I don't think so. He's got a passed a pawn and there's stuff going on. So a6, yeah.
There we have it. Wesley's
Oh, wait a
looking at
minute
his board.
now.
Yes,
A7,
Wesley's already won his
A7,
game.
yeah. No, why is he playing G4? He should just go A7, right? Oh, he's trying to charge with 2 pawns.
It's so tricky to calculate this.
No, he's blundered because rook E4 will come.
But the bar says it's still equal.
Ah, then take an A7. I forgot that. There's
the
2
A
pawns
pawn
there.
that he charged with also has.
But even then, I think Pragg is looking a bit.
With the G6 pawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone with the G6 pawn, but it might be a perpetual.
Just immediately, and our live board is not updating. We can see the queens have arrived on the board, and he'll just keep checking. White's queen is on the corner square there on A8. So very hard to come into the defense of the king, and Arjun keeps checking.
Yeah, so this is going to be a draw.
But not enough for second place because Wesley won his game.
Ah, okay, against Danny, yes. So with Daniel should have taken the draw, it seems.
He could have repeated.
Okay, the board is.
And
on
there is a
bit.
difference
No,
because
now Pragg is winning.
I think if our board isn't updating, we can actually get it off the screen because that is not the live position. Oh, a little hesitancy there by Arjun.
Queen E5 check.
King to e5. The white pawn is on g7. We know
Queen
that.
B8 check and G8. Queen B8 check and G8. Queen B8 check and
Oh,
G8. Please.
Wait, so Okay, now we're still behind on our board.
The black king is on a6, right? Yeah, it's on a6. I don't think
Wait,
it's
is
on
he
a6.
winning now? He's gonna run out of checks?
I don't know
Oh
what's
my
happening.
gosh. Oh,
This is
Queen
gonna be-
e7.
he blocks the check, gives another one. Pragg is one step away from queening.
I missed the same win against Wesley here. At some point, we played a complex rook ending for a long time. And I forgot that I simply had this move, queen somewhere check and help the pawn queen. I was looking for complicated wins. But
I think the
simplest
board
one
is
wasn't there.
updating now, by the way. The queen d6 check, this is the correct position.
But this maybe is still winning according to the comp. Though I don't see.
But you have to
exactly
find a way
how.
to hide your king.
Yes.
So correct me if I'm wrong, the black king should be on a1 here, right? Or b1 somewhere.
Well, if there's a pawn on c6, I think all bets are off. But and king d8 here. King d8. King d8. Because queen b8, I have queen c8.
And queen
So
g5.
now
just
he'll go to queen g5, but then I go king c8.
Oh, and there's no check. You're running out of checks.
Now, okay, king c8 then.
And then you waste a
No,
move.
why
by
did he take that pawn? Aren't you much better off with the pawn? Queen
But
d6
even now,
resigns.
and that's
okay.
it. Oh my gosh, and for Arjun,
3 losses in a row for Arjun.
3 losses in a row. A heartbreaking end to such a great run, and Pragg wins this game, which means that Arjun finishes third. Still a good finish, but I hesitate to say that.
Yeah, 3 losses in a row has to hurt. And you know, in the first round, in the 16th round, he was completely winning as well. Very heartbreaking indeed. So the overall standings are Magnus comes first, and then Wesley's on second place, and Arjun on the third place.
And Arjun and Pragg still analyzing right now, probably this queen's pawn endgame that they have. But what a topsy-turvy tournament,
Yeah.
Anand, and a finish for the Indian youngster.
Quite. Okay, how did the women do?
So in the women's section, we've got Lano, who did, but I believe she lost her last game.
Last game, yes.
No, she drew her last game.
No,
Oh, this is the previous round, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
she lost the last game against Valentina, who came second. And then Valentina is the first, second, and then Goryachkina came third with 9.5 points.
But shared third with Vantika.
Vantika.
Yeah,
Vantika had a fantastic
performance, yeah.
great performance of Vantika.
And Lano just played such a solid opening in this one throughout. You know, she was down a pawn, but never out of control. She lost that extra a pawn, but converted it to a draw, which is all she needed to become the champion. So huge congratulations to Lano as well. And that means Magnus wins Rapid and Blitz, and it's Lano who wins the Blitz, and Goryachkina is a Rapid winner this year.
Yeah.
So we don't have an Indian up there.
No, we don't.
Not yet. But Arjun was very close, I feel.
Yeah.
If he
I
had
mean-
gotten that win in the 16th round, I feel the momentum would have been there.
I mean, Arjun brought the tournament back to an interesting place and then took the lead as well.
Yeah.
And it's a pity that his reward was losing the last 3. But
Yeah.
he's the one who brought the most drama to the finish.
And such high quality of games as well, especially against Vidit and later against Magnus. But it wasn't to be, and the fact that he finishes third after 3 losses just goes on to show what a performance he's had in this tournament. And we'll bring up the standings, and while we do that, we'll let you go, Vishy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
But before that, how have you enjoyed the Tata Steel Chess India this year?
It was a great event, entertaining in every round. And I still feel that the tournament was deceptively easy. The Rapid perhaps was actually easy, but if you look at the margin now, it'll be very difficult to remember that it was actually quite dramatic.
It was very dramatic at the end, especially in the men's section,
Yes.
where anything could have happened even until the second last round. And Vishy, it's been so awesome to have you here with us, you know, just taking us, navigating us through all the genius moves that we've seen here in Kolkata. And we look forward to having, of course, a really nice evening and a closing ceremony next. But we'll bring up the standings as we let you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's
Thanks,
have the
Alex.
standings on our screens. Thank you, Vishy, for joining us.
Sure.
And there we have it. It's Katerina Lhano at 11.5 points, half a point ahead, and she takes the tournament victory. Valentina Gunina, 1.5 points ahead of the rest of the field at 11, and it's Aleksandra Goryachkina who finishes tied for third place along with Vantika Agarwal. Overall, a brilliant outing for Vantika this year.
Indeed, Vantika, dominating from the Indian. I mean, I think she is performing really well. I mean, I think Vantika could have been in the top 3 as well. Is actually the tiebreaks, is she in the top 3, Tanya, or do we not have confirmation for that?
So they share prizes
Okay.
when you finish tied, except for the championship. That's when they do a playoff, but
Right.
they will be tied for third, and prize money is shared between the players. Let's bring up our men's standings. It's almost bittersweet, when this happens. We've had 5 incredible days of chess, and the action's all coming to an end. And what an incredible audience we've had, live with us at the auditorium. And not just that, having Anand here with us, and it's all coming to an end. And once again, Magnus Carlsen is on top, but what a dominating run by the world number 1.
Absolutely, Magnus Carlsen doing Magnus things. But still, props to Arjun for making the tournament at the last 3 rounds so interesting.
I couldn't agree more with that. And then we've got 3 players here, the 3 Indians. Arjun finishing at 10.5, and then Pragg at 9.5, Vidit at 9. He managed to catch up some pace, and joining us in the studio is the winner, the overall winner, the winner of the Rapid, the winner of the Blitz, world number 1, Magnus Carlsen. Magnus, huge congratulations.
Thank you.
And we see you there, top of the leaderboard, top of the table, but looking at the standings, my first question to you is that it doesn't tell the full story of how today went.
No, it really doesn't. I think yesterday was kind of a difficult day for me. I couldn't sleep the last night, and I was playing off adrenaline yesterday, really. And I think today I was well rested, but I think my nervous system was still not quite where it should be. So yeah, it was a really, really nervy day. And as you said, I was lucky that Wesley was the one who went on a big streak, because he couldn't realistically catch me. If let's say Pragg or Arjun had been consistent, or even Dubov had been consistently strong today, I would have really, really struggled. And I mean, Arjun did it for a while, but I think maybe his nervous system also couldn't handle it right at the end.
And Blitz is so much about nerves. Magnus, it's good to know that once in a while you feel them too.
Yeah, for sure. And it's frustrating because you try and sort of calm down in between games, but sometimes you're just not there. I'm not thinking clearly at all, and especially when I was down on time, it was just pretty random what I was doing. But overall, tournament win is good. The score is not great, but very decent, so I'm happy.
You should be, and you say the score isn't decent. You won the Rapid, you won the Blitz, 1 round to spare.
No, I'm saying it's decent. No. I mean, the score in Rapid is very good.
Yes.
The Blitz score 2 times 6.5 is more or less, I think, an average tournament, and that usually is more or less enough to win, but it's not always enough. And yeah, I felt that I could definitely do more, but I mean, it was not bad by any stretch, for sure.
Not at all. And Magnus, there was actually a moment when Arjun leapfrogged in the standings going into the final few rounds. At that moment, what was your mindset?
I wasn't worried about that per se. I mean, making 5 draws in a row, I didn't expect to have a huge lead or anything. So it was more well, let's see. I felt like I had 3 very good pairings for me in the last 3 rounds with the 2 whites. So felt like I should have a good chance. And obviously, going into the game with him, being ahead after he lost a completely winning position to Vidit, that was a bit lucky. But yeah, there you go.
And we had Anand at that point with us, and we were talking about that many watching don't realize how difficult it is from a psychological perspective to get back to the board after such a loss.
That's the problem with Blitz, is that you're playing so many games in a day, and there really isn't much time to adjust or anything in between games. So you can you can do whatever you want to try and refocus, but it's really, really hard.
Have you enjoyed it overall, apart from the chess, being back in Kolkata and playing against a packed house every day?
Yeah, it's been an intense few days. So it's been a fun experience overall, and I'm sure I'll be happy to be back.
So Magnus, Indian players in general are making rapid strides when it comes to classical format, but in faster formats they are facing more challenges. So what do you think is the reason for that, and what advice would you give them?
I think experience is so important when it comes to faster formats. You see somebody like Alireza, for instance, who does well among the youngsters in faster chess. Like he's played probably a lot more games with time trouble than the Indian kids have. So I think that's part of it. And I think Arjun, especially from this tournament, like Arjun has a very, very challenging style that is not always the best in Blitz, but I mean he's still very, very good. But these things usually take a little bit of time, I would say. So I would think over time the kids will be stronger and stronger in Blitz as well.
Thanks, Magnus. And you have dominated chess for the longest time. And in which format do you think the second player is the closest to you, and who do you think that player is?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, I cannot really count myself that way in classical, because I don't play that much. Like, I think if everything was on the line, I think I'd be a favorite still, but it's hard to say. In terms of Rapid and Blitz, I think it's closer in Rapid for sure. In Blitz, I think I am a bit better than the others, on average.
And the player?
In Rapid, Rapid is hard to say. There are many who are quite good. So yeah, I mean Alireza has been good online recently. Bobby's quite good. I think a lot of people.
Thanks, Magnus. And just one last question from my side. What's your favorite Indian food?
I like anything sort of savory with paneer. That's my favorite. But I've been eating that. I don't know if it's good, but I've been eating that pretty much every day for lunch.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Enjoying the Indian food. And Magnus, what's next for you after this?
I'm going to Singapore in a few hours, and doing a bit of promotion for freestyle chess there. Playing a match with Fabi in a few days as well, so that should be fun. And also, be a tourist at least for a couple of days at the World Championship will be fun.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to that, because you've often said that you really enjoy freestyle chess, and you've started Take as well, which has been a new venture for you. How is that? And that's something the chess world is looking forward to.
Yeah, we will be producing content there for the World Championship. Obviously, we've been very happy with the response so far to the app and the content that we're putting out, and we're gonna keep it coming. So that's gonna be good.
We're excited to see you on it. And just final question on that app: is the name inspired by a certain streamer?
No, I think actually. You know what? I'll let the CEO maybe answer that question. But it's a long story. We had a lot of different ideas. But we have a little video explaining the whole thing that it's like a 5-minute compilation of GMs of many strengths, like calculating take, and so on. So we thought it was a fun name in that sense.
It's the one word we use most in commentary as well. Magnus, it's been an absolute pleasure watching your chess here in Kolkata. Thank you so much for just everything that you bring on the board, and a huge congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Magnus Carlsen is the winner, and we've got the closing ceremony coming up. We will take you there. It's a wrap up from us. Goodbye from Kolkata.